Hi, Chad. Oh, wait. I don't know if it's working. I never know. It is. Hey! I prepared myself today. I even have a headband on my on my bang. A headbang. We're sweating. We're climbing mountains. We're we're going to get physical. This is what I will play today. Oh, I forgot. I was getting bored by the game. Up. Up. Last time I played with some friends. This is the face that I had. It needs to be yellow. She looks so evil. She looks so evil. Ooh! Duck face. She has a duck face now. Ooh, she looks kind of... Yes! um, I didn't even realize. I was like, okay, I did... Oh, this is perfect. I did something that said that I'm going to sweat. Bam! Dodge flag. she's I don't know. She's Oh no, it's the I don't remember. It's like the like the model face battle meme that was like happening at one point. I think there is subtitles, but they don't understand me. So I don't know how to stop them from going here. You are the most trendiest person ever. I forgot. I think I need to go in stream manager. I don't remember. I never remember. Oh, wait. Okay, I don't know how to invite people. Wait. Okay. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm not checking the messages. Maybe it's... Wait. Can someone teach me how to use a laptop? How are you doing? I don't know how to invite you. Wait, it's here. I think it's here. I think you can just join me. I don't know. I had to like reinstall the game earlier because it kept crashing, so I'm kind of scared. I'm not gonna spoil how I look for now. I mean, it's not the final look. And it still need to be like cooler looking. Wait. Oh. I love it. I love their little face. I'm giving the duck face a hat. I'm a ninja now. And I'm a mad ninja. No. Yes, I'm a mad ninja. I want me whip. What me nana? What me whip? Whip? What me nana? Look at my fight. What is this? Oh yeah, I have trophies. Oh. It's here. It's here. It's here. Ooh. Look, look, look. Look, look, look. Brr. My day started a few hours ago. I woke up at 5 p.m. Well, it was more like 4.5 p.m. because I slept at 10 a.m. because I was watching stuff on like the TV and I didn't see the time go. So my day just started officially. And like I'm happy because I have the VIP badges. By the way, I wanted to put the VIP as I said, but I don't know how. I don't remember. I think I saw it, but I don't remember. What? Nom, nom, nom. Oh. Let me click. Let me click. By the way, Vance, I think it's better if we like talk on the game because I tried to launch Discord at the same time as like the game and it made me extremely laggy. If you're okay with it, if you still would rather like we play on Discord, I don't mind either. I'll try to go on like my phone. I know it's weird, but like I don't know how to do this. Ping pong. How you doing? You're alive. He's alive. Okay. Sorry, I'm moving my mic a lot because I changed where it was like hot, so I still need to, you know. Hey, I have a passport. I have a passport. Reminds me, I need to. I'll read all my. Oh, so cute. Yeah, but I'm a homeless gremlin. Oh. Okay, I think it's okay. Oh! I heard steam. I heard steam. Yeah. Wait. Wait. I think I'm breaking everything. I'm clicking. It's saying that. Wait, I have accepted the invite, but it doesn't. No. Thank you. I hope I will die super quickly, but I'm really not the best at this game, so. Yes! Wait. Hello! Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. Oh. I'm dancing with my passport. You go? Wait. You can't hear me? You can't. Look at all the badges! Wow! You look pretty. You look so cool. Wow. Wait. But apples somewhere. Oh. Oh. Wait. How come? Okay, is this one picking up? It's not the best quality at all. But is it better? Wait. Let me go on the. How do I? Up. Up. I'm coming to. I don't know why. Yes, it's showing. Oh no. Oh no. Maybe I should like. Wait. Maybe it's because... Wait. What if I... Does it work like this? No. I don't know either. I'm like on your stream. This is the only way that I can hear you. Me too. It's not working. I'm dead. This is too much. Maybe. Wait. Hi, bro. Oh. Wait. I'll live too. It's a chaotic start. It's a really chaotic start. Yes, yeah. I just wish it would work. Wait. Okay. Right now it's not the chillest game. It's really not working really good. I'm waiting for him to invite me again. And then like I'm watching his stream at the same time. What's happening? Wait. I'm waiting for the invite. Up. Play the game. I'm sorry. It's not that the game crashed. It's like when we talk, no one like it's not picking up our mics. Like it's not working. Okay, now it crashed. Oh no! Please, I want to play Pig. I want to play. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry for not talking a lot. I'm trying to use my brains and exactly it's the keys. It's the keys because I beheaded 4 at the start of the game. Oh, how low? Maybe. Oh, maybe it's my fault. It's probably my fault. I often do stuff that are dumb. Invite online. Okay. Play the game. Okay. Please work. Please. Look, thank you for the preloading. I need it.
I'm too high for the Oh, I can heal.
I hear you.
I can heal. Oh, hold on. I gotta tone you down just a little bit. Holy cow.
Let's go. Wait. Where are you at? Where are you at?
I'm out the window.
What? How did you do this?
Very carefully.
Damn.
Yeah, you can't get out the window that way.
Oh, wait. How did you do? You're a witch!
I'm talented.
A talented
Very talented.
witch.
Indeed. We'll go with that.
Is there? Where is it? How did you do this?
You have the right idea. I'm above you.
Okay. Here.
Yeah, I'll jump through the window. It's fine. Uh-oh. Careful with your stamina ball.
I'm okay.
Oh, looking over at your stream, you're a little zoomed in though.
Oh. What?
You're a little zoomed in.
Oh damn. Oh, I'm a little mucho zoomed in.
Right. Right.
It's starting really chaotically.
That's how it goes.
Whoa! You're a natural. Whoa! Okay, yeah. This is approved. I approve this outfit.
This is approved. You approve this outfit? Okay.
Yes, I do.
They'll never see it coming.
Okay.
They'll never see this coming.
Watch me whip. Watch me nene. Watch me whip.
Right. Watch. Yep.
Let's go.
Ooh,
Okay.
Watch me. Ooh, watch me.
I'm dead.
Watch me. Ooh, watch me. Oh.
I'm dying already, broke.
You already broke. Dang.
Wait.
You know,
okay. Are you fighting the wall? Are you? How do you?
That's how you get out.
Oh.
Well, so the trick to it is you jump and you press the passport button, and then you jump and you press the passport button. So then the passport goes outside the wall. Yep. Well, it might be a little broken though. But yeah, you got the right idea. You don't want to climb.
Sorry.
That's insane, Duck.
I did it.
Hey, there you go. You're out.
Let me dance. Let me dance.
There you go. Look at that.
Down. Okay, I'm helping you. Give me your hand. How do I come back in?
I'm trying. You just jump through the window.
Oh no! I did it too soon.
Yeah, you just jump through the window. But that's how you can get
passport.
outside and you can explore the outside.
I have a passport.
You do have a passport.
I have a
That
passport.
way we can go places. Do you know there's another person in this area? Ooh, fishy.
There's someone else? Where?
Yeah, there's another person. You have to look through the wall, just like what you just did. And thank you for the accent. It's not much of an accent, but it's just who I am. You climb up here, and then when you let go, you press 1 and look through the wall. And you look over there.
Oh my god! He's
Yeah.
cold!
So, He's our scoutmaster.
Oh my god. I want to see him. I'm gonna lick his
Well,
head.
so the trick that to push yourself through, you have to get behind the TV.
Oh, behind. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like right now you're on top of the TV. You got the right idea.
I'm too thick. I'm too thick. Okay.
Oh my lord. It's okay. Those it's possible to do. It's just it takes time.
Next time. Okay. 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 I'm breathing.
I would say if you climb the side of it and then walk sideways when you go in, it walks a little better.
Like this. Wait. Okay. No. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's a crazy.
Okay. I can do this. I can do
Pure
this.
crazy.
Oh! I was so close. I smelled his foot. I'm giving up.
I'm sorry.
giving
What?
up. What? What?
You were
Wait, what?
smelling his feet?
No. Wait. What?
Sniffer?
I think what? I think it's not working again. The mic is not working again.
Oh, is that what it is? The mic's not
Yes,
working? Oh, okay,
exactly.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Wow, that cap is amazing. You're.
Oh, this is the.
Do you call this a cap? Right?
Yeah, no, it's a cap.
Okay, good.
I would say this is for beating the game in under an hour. It's a cap or a hat or whatever you want to call it. It's a cap. That's right.
That's beautiful. This is beautiful. Wow, look at this chat. This is a real swagger.
Should I be this? I don't know if I would call it swagger, but sure. But the question is, should I keep with the disguise or should I change my disguise?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Wait. I'm just gonna change something real quickly.
Uh-oh.
Okay, you can hear what? you can still hear me, right? Okay.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay.
You're good.
Na ta 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 ta. Did you hear me say ta 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 ta?
I did not hear you say da da da.
Okay,
da, da.
because I had pushed to mute because my mom is behind. Grandma Deck is
Ah,
behind.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I follow.
Wow, you have so many disguises.
I'm just trying to figure out what I need to run. You know what? We'll run with Bing Bong.
Oh.
Wait.
I
We'll run with Bing Bong.
I don't have as much as you do. But you know what?
It's okay.
I'm gonna be suspicious.
Good mustache. Thank you. You're gonna be suspicious. Hey, you're the medic. That's a good one. I feel.
I'm a medic.
That works.
I want a mustache too.
Mustache.
I want
How
a
do I get that one?
mustache. I want.
There's only one with a stash, sadly.
Wow. It's beautiful. Look at this. The hat is beautiful. How did you get the hat?
You have to make Bing Bong get to the end.
Oh,
La Boo Boo smile.
He
Yeah.
never gets to the end with me because, first of all, I never got myself to the end, and I always burn him to death.
Well, even if he's born, he can still go to the end. I'll tell you what. I'll carry Bing Bong. I got you.
Okay. Because if you give me
We'll get
Bing Bong, he will end
all
up
the
dead
badges.
somewhere in the ditch. Just so you know.
Well, you know, it's okay.
I wish we could eat
It'll be
him.
okay.
I wish we
Well,
could eat
funny
Bing Bong.
enough, let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Because I think there is cannibalism.
This Labubu smile here that they
Yeah.
called it is from cannibalism.
Wait. I think you have I think I saw it in the settings when I was making my game ugly so that it works. Like you can put cannibalism.
Yeah, you can definitely do cannibalism if you choose it or not.
Okay. You need to die. I need to eat you, but friendly. Friendly eating.
I need to friendly eat you. There is indeed a cannibalism
Don't
option.
worry.
It's very
I'll
awkward.
cook you
Why
perfectly. I'll cook you perfectly.
So the trick to cannibalism is you have to be really, really hungry. You know when it happens when you get close to me and I start to change shape. I won't say what it is.
Oh my god.
But I'll change shape for you.
I'm so going to eat you.
Yeah.
Just you wait.
Yep.
It's a threat.
Oh no, I'm scared now. I'm scared now. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Right.
I'm ready.
I'll let you
I'm
do
ready.
it.
Ooh,
You launch it. That way you can pick the difficulty. Tenderfoot still counts as a win, but you don't unlock new things with Tenderfoot. So it's up to you.
Pick is the normal difficulty, right?
Yes, peak is normal.
And Ascent one is like
easy.
Oh,
so you have beat the game. If you have Ascent 1, you beat the game once. Yeah, it's a higher difficulty.
Maybe it's because my brother played on the account, but myself, I never.
That's okay. But yeah, I'd say the reward down at the bottom is what you unlock, though. And then any achievements you can unlock on any game.
We're starting with pick.
Yep.
We're starting with pick.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh no!
What happened? Oh, this is going to be so fun, chat. I'm so sorry. I usually like read every chat, but I don't know the right timing, like not to be rude. So I'm sorry. Bing bong bro. Bing, bong.
She's dead.
Oh,
how did I pick up? I don't want the lamp.
Oh my god.
I want the beagle.
Oh my god. Oh, what is this beautiful sound? You got the trumpet.
It's a bugle.
I'm stealing it. How do I steal?
Trumpet.
I can't steal. It's okay because I have a balloon.
You can have. You have the better item already.
You have a balloon. You have a balloon.
You just put it on me? Oh, you did put it on me.
I don't know what it does, but it's
let me grab Bing Bong.
They added binoculars.
They did. They did add binoculars.
Wow, I can look at you really closely. What the fuck?
Oh no, she's zooming in. Getting my good side.
Okay. I only see good sides though. Wait. Wow. I'm keeping the binoculars. I don't know if they're useful, but they're mine now and I love them.
There is an achievement for them.
Oh.
That's a good handy book to read.
I don't know how to read.
Well, never mind.
I don't know.
We don't know how to read. They didn't teach us that in Crablandia school, so it's in the ocean now.
Don't move.
That's a conch. You can. You got to use what is it? Where is it? There's an item somewhere around here. No, I'll just go.
Too many stuff.
Oh, put it in the backpack.
It's here. I was looking for it. I was like, damn, Aaron, you lost the backpack.
Where is? Oh, Frisbee. Hey, there was actually an achievement for that too.
Oh,
you can take that too.
Okay. I was going to throw it super far away.
You watch. Oh, see, there you go. Is the toddler interested in Bing Bong? Is that what it is?
So,
the backpack's full now.
It is.
So we can't take anything else. That's a flail. You can just light that and throw it.
Yes!
Yeet!
I have a flare, and you boop.
And you boop. Oh! This is the pro. Look at the pro at walk. Slipped on the jellyfish on purpose.
Go.
Ready?
Walk on it. Walk on this.
Where'd it go?
Woo! Backflip! You want me to carry the backpack?
It's a Shrek. If you want to, you can. It's just extra weight.
I know.
That's all it is.
But you know, since I'm super strong, I'm the alpha.
Oh, that's true.
I'm the alpha.
You're gonna carry us through this whole thing.
Exactly. Wait, there's Bing Bong in this?
Follow the Shrek.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Aaron, you want to throw it? Aaron, you will.
Well, maybe I'll take Bing Bong out.
Yeah. So we have to go.
Bing Bong will ride solo.
Up there. Like
we have to go.
Up.
This is the rock we have to climb.
Yeah, I think after this we won.
Just this quick.
Yeah.
We made it to the peak.
Woo!
Woo!
Okay, now I can die in peace.
Made it to the peak.
It's so funny.
Well,
it's so funny.
I didn't quite fall off.
It's okay.
I'm falling now. Oh!
Oh, you took damage.
That one. I took damage.
Oh, you want me to heal you?
No, it's okay
medic.
right now. Oh,
I'm
wait
the medic.
You are the medic.
I am the medic.
I saw something up here. I don't know where it went though.
I was going to say I need coconuts, but I have other plans. I have other plans. I don't need food.
I know you.
I don't need
That's true.
food.
You don't need. There's another plan installed. I'm totally not terrified of that.
Beautiful.
Let me grab this real quick. Hold
Oh wait.
on. That's okay though. As long as the child is enjoying the game.
I think
I
I already lost you.
Or am I?
I think I'm lost.
Lost me. Oh, look out! Falling objects.
Where are you? Where are you? Vance? Vance?
I'm coming, Ducky.
Oh! I saw you!
Oh yeah, the binoculars. Bing Bong's gonna make it to the end, I promise.
Okay, I believe we can do this. I believe you can do this.
No. You're the champion. You're the one that can make it all the way through.
True. I'm the medic. I'm the cannibalistic medic.
Yeah. I would say if you don't make it to the end, who will?
True. And if I'm hungry, I'll have a big snack. Just here.
You will have a very big snack. Trust me. You will. Right. You want to climb hill?
Yes.
Okay. We can climb hill. It's fine by me.
Bam.
We're gonna have a
easy peasy.
chaotic time. Man, this is easy mode. Oh, here, eat this. Oh no. Yeah, eat this.
Eat this.
Yeah.
Nom.
There's an achievement for eating 4 of them and you unlock a special hat.
Okay, that is amazing. Okay, I will eat shrooms and then I'll eat you.
Yeah, that sounds good. I would say you might have to eat me after the jungle. But yes. You're too far down.
Okay, don't worry.
It's all that extra weight.
Exactly.
That Bing Bong backpack be heavy.
Exactly. But as a medic, I need it. I have all my healing stuff in it.
You do have a lot of healing stuff in there, that's for sure.
Oh.
It would be chaotic fun. Alright, which way? Left or right? Both are feasible.
Right.
Got it. To the right.
To the
Well,
right.
that's not the song. The song's to the left. Everything
To the
you own in
right,
box
to the
is-
right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but we're reinventing the song and it's better now.
It's better now because we're going to the right. That works. We can make that
Exactly.
work.
And you have a trumpet. So you're the
Oh, yeah, that's
musician.
right.
Can you burn the trumpet?
You can cook the trumpet. It does not change sound though,
Oh.
which is sad.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this is gonna be a climb.
Oh, damn.
I wish it would change the sound.
Oh, no. Oh,
Oh, no.
no.
I'm out! Ah! Oh, hey, you're alive. Alright, I'm gonna go for that one instead.
Up.
Uh-oh. This isn't good.
I don't know if I can make it, chat.
Made it! Barely.
No! No!
Give me your hand!
Yes!
Give me your hand! Give me your hand! Give me your hand! Oh no!
I'm changing.
Maybe this is not the way to go.
Yeah, I don't think it's the way to go.
Alright, we'll go to the left then. Dang it. Reinventing the reinvented song. I don't think that's...
To be honest,
Well,
chat,
that
I
might be
think
the way
I'll die really soon. Oh, where am I? Oh, here.
to go. I don't know if we're making this one either. We'll
I
make
think we
it,
should
though.
have maybe turned to the left. Oh, fuck.
But, yep. Yep. I'm right there with you. You okay?
I don't have a lot of stamina left, to be honest.
Oh, use the bandage.
Yeah, but the medic is made to, like, heal people, not himself.
Well, you need to heal yourself so you can heal others, right? We'll get you. Yep, don't worry.
You have convinced me. I'm hit!
Oh, this is gonna be a jump.
Oh. Thank you, Vance. Thank you.
This is what I'm here for. I'm just the more support. Wait, hold on.
Oh.
I think that way's better.
Yes,
I
I
think.
agree.
Maybe.
I agree. So many bridges. How did you get there so fast? I blinked. You were up.
Well, I mean, I was wearing that spacesuit earlier.
Are you a fairy? Be honest.
I
Are you a fairy
don't
princess?
think so. A fairy princess? I don't have wings. Well, I mean, I can get myself wings real quick. You ready?
Wow!
It didn't go very well.
Beautiful.
Thought I was gonna fall. It didn't go
I
quite.
thought you were
as
going
planned,
to
but it
fall
worked.
too.
That was the plan.
Nice,
It didn't
nice,
quite
nice.
work, but you know, we'll take it. This way.
Oh, this way. Oh. Nice. Teamwork.
It's a bunch of back and forth right now. Uh-oh. This may not be the right climb. Medicinal root. Hey, those are good.
Oh.
Oh, you made it! Nice!
What is this?
I'm gonna eat one of these real quick.
Oh.
It heals food and it heals health.
Ooh.
But
They
if you
have
want to
little
eat...
legs.
They do have little legs. They look funny.
Yeah, they'll have space
If you
for
want to
this
eat
one.
a big... If you want to eat a big guy... I'll eat it.
Up.
Thank you.
I'm fattening you up.
Nom 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 nom. Yeah, making me taste better. It's like putting in a soup. Oh, you went this way.
Up. Thank you.
Well, no, I guess that way?
I think that way.
Yeah. Alright. She was a fairy, indeed. A very big fairy, and Bing Bong was along with the wag.
I saw Bing Bong.
Yeah, right here. Can't throw Bing... Well, you might be able to throw Bing Bong after I'm indisposed. You might be able to eat Bing Bong. Or throw Bing Bong, rather.
I need to eat you to get to my enemy. Nothing personal.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing personal, kid. It's just business.
Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
It's just between me and Bing Bong, and sadly you got in the way.
Yeah. It happens more often than I like to admit.
You getting eaten?
Getting in the way.
Oh.
Getting eaten also happens a lot too, but not quite the same. Not quite the same though.
Huh.
Those are shroom, those luggage. I don't know which way.
Here.
That way?
Yes.
Alright, that way. Like I said, you're the leader here. Oh, that's a big climb.
Yeah,
You sure
no.
about
No.
that? It's a really big climb there.
I don't have the best goals. Okay, here. We can do this. Okay. You watch me? Where? Come here.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm watching.
okay, look,
I'm watching.
um,
Lead the way.
Yep.
Oh, look at that jump. That was perfect right there.
See. I'm a professional.
See? MLG Pro right there.
Oh, okay, maybe
Major
I was-
League Game. Maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe this
maybe-
rock.
maybe-
Maybe this rock. Well, maybe not. I'm still climbing. Oh, okay. There's a ledge. I have a ledge.
Up. Oh. Oh, nice little break.
Well,
A nice little
hopefully we
break.
find another one because this is a stretch.
Oh no.
No!
Oh.
I'm alive.
No! I can do this!
We were right there.
I can do this!
We were right there.
See.
Got it.
Okay.
DuuckyV2 OP.
Okay. Give me your hand.
DuuckyV2 OP.
Give me your hand. Oh, boing!
You open up that luggage. Boing. Another
I
flare.
have the power!
And a harpoon gun.
I have the power! I'm gonna throw it
All
super
the
far
power.
away. Look. Bam. Oh. Oh, this was
That was impressive,
the
actually.
thing.
No, that was pretty fun.
Oh
That'll come in
my
handy
god.
too. Just don't shoot me with it, please.
Put your hands in the air. Okay. I like the dance you'll say you love. Until I can eat you.
You gotta love the dance. Alright. Let's see. I think this way's gonna be easier.
Damn. The smoke is going through the stones.
Through the rocks. You right?
Thank you.
Oh yeah! Uh-oh. Oh, this is kind of tight.
Oh, nice. I think it's good. Getting.
Gonna make it to the top.
Wow.
Maybe. Assuming I don't fall.
I want to go here.
Oh, you're going that way. Oh. Oh, the smoke just stopped.
Hehehehe.
You took a shortcut.
I took a shortcut. I followed the piss trail.
The... Yes. Yes, that's what we'll call it. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what that was.
What is this?
Throw it.
Whoa!
Now you have a landing pad. Yep, big old landing pad.
It is beautiful. It looks yummy.
It does. I want to test it, but they won't let us eat it, sadly.
I wish they would put some, like, a new update where you can just eat everything. Thank
Eat
you.
everything. Eat the rope. Eat Bing Bong. Eat the trumpet.
Exactly. Eat the mountain. Wow.
Eat the mountain. That would be impressive.
I mean, I'm hungry. I can eat the mountain right now. Or someone.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I don't know if you're that hungry yet.
Nah, I'm not hungry enough. I need more.
Here, eat this.
Up. Oh, fuck.
Fairy lantern. That's useful.
You're a fairy! I was right. I was right.
She figured it out. I've been found
so
out.
pretty! So
Thanks.
pretty! I love
So,
it.
a fairy lantern heals all the damage. Oh, and you need to eat this too.
Fuck this.
Yeah,
I
we
want
don't.
this.
We don't need that.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. There it goes.
Bye-bye.
Oh, did you eat this?
Bye. Want to say bye-bye. Farewell, little
Oh, a
lantern.
big old salute.
Oh, what is this? I'm gonna burn the scroll. I'm gonna burn
No, you gotta open it and read
the
it.
scroll. I can! Scan your shrooms. Oh. So
Yeah, if you
the
inspect
shrooms
it,
with an
there's a
asshole
couple
are
of them that you
good.
get a chick.
The one with acne are bad. Noted.
That's one way to put it. Yes.
Okay, I'll eat for now because you said that we needed to like wait after the jungle for me to eat you. I'll listen.
Well, I would say that would be the time frame.
Wow. Bing Bong.
Yeah.
Is this
I
his
would say if you
family
wait long
in
enough-
the tray? Is this Bing Bong's family here?
Probably yeah. You want to cook it?
I can cook it.
You can cook it.
Cook.
Now you have cooked.
Again. I think I burnt it.
Is it burnt or is it well done?
I think it's burned.
Oh, it's a little charred though.
I'm sorry.
Maybe,
I'm sorry.
maybe not too tasty though. No,
I'm sure
you're
it's
fine.
tasty. I mean, I wanted to eat. Wow. Oh my god, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
looks like a lot of snakes.
My god, what is this? Oh.
I remember back in elementary school we used to play with pipe cleaners. This kind of reminds me of the pipe cleaners.
It hurts my brain.
Alright.
It hurts my brain, Vance.
So I have a method for the madness, but you may not like it.
Wait.
Make sure you grab onto something.
I'm a
So I need
professional.
you to run all the way over there.
Where? Here. I'm running.
Yeah.
I'm
there.
running. You
I'm
pull.
gonna throw you the disc.
Okay.
You have to catch it.
I'll catch it. Wait. I'm okay.
Oh no.
Here?
Are you alive?
Is it here? Where you at? Oh. Wait.
Oh, there she is. There you go. Now go back. Go back with just a little bit. Go to this tree, like right here. Show that. No. Do you see my ping?
No, I don't see it.
Do you hear it?
No, I don't.
Alright, it's right there. Cool.
But
You ready?
yes.
I'm gonna throw it straight to you. You just gotta catch it.
Okay, I can do this.
I did not throw it high enough.
I did not catch it. Can I send it back? I thought ducks could fly too, but I proved that it was not real. Catch! Oh.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the achievement is to catch over 100 needles, and I didn't throw it high enough.
Nah, it was
you want
my
to try
fault.
again, or do you just want to keep going? No, it bounced.
We can try.
Alright, let me climb back up. Hold on
Okay,
one
okay.
second.
Can you climb with the rain? It looks kind of slippery.
It makes it really hard, but yes.
Oh. Okay. Oh, maybe. Wait. What me win? What me whip? Whip me?
Peak content.
Exactly.
Peak content.
Literally. It's peak.
Right.
And then you climb here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then you go here. Nice. Am I far enough? Yes.
I gotta climb a little high. Flying for your life.
Okay.
Alright. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Alright, here it comes.
No!
Oh, it hit the tree.
It hit the tree. Oh. I can see through the rain. Oh, it's a little loud. Wait. Are you okay? Do you need the medic?
Yeah, I'm good.
Do you need the medic?
Not yet.
Okay.
You want to eat me anyway? What are you talking about?
Oh, true. But I don't want to eat someone that is like all injured. It affects the taste of the human. I tried it once. It wasn't good because the human was injured.
Oh, you tried it once.
Yeah, but it was during vacation, so it doesn't count.
Oh, is that the case?
A box.
Hey, look, more medic.
Eat.
Oh, you really are fattening me up. Okay.
Do you need healing?
Not yet.
Okay.
It'd be good to save for later.
I have
And then
two
over
big
here
bucks
we
of
have another
heal.
one for you. Just be careful with that one, don't get poked.
I won't.
Oh, there's a stove,
What
we can
is
cook
this?
food. But we don't. So if you place it down, it allows you to cook stuff, but we don't really need to cook stuff yet. So.
Okay.
I mean, you could cook the lollipop. You could cook the bandages.
Oh.
You could cook the bandages.
Okay. Let me place that. It's blue. Yes. Let's go. I have burnt bandages now.
Oh, don't. Well, I don't know if burnt's gonna help you much.
I don't know.
If you just cook it or well done it should be okay.
It helped.
Oh, there you go.
Can I?
Yeah, so you can cook the lollipop too. I don't think on a stove, no.
Oh.
Say if you cook the lollipop, it becomes better for you.
Okay, I'll
know
make
if
it
you want to
well
burn it,
done.
though.
It's well
There you go.
done.
You can also cook the energy drink too if you really
Oh
want.
my god.
You can cook everything in the game. The only thing you don't want to cook is rope.
Nice. Because it's too tasty afterward?
Yeah, it gets too tasty.
I get it.
On the money.
So how do we get up there?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. I'm not sure.
Oh my god. I think we can start here, like this. And then we'll get stuck probably here. What the fuck is this sound? Why is there music? Why is there music? There's music playing.
Oh, it's because that means that we've made a checkpoint.
Oh, there's checkpoints?
Sort of, kind of. Whenever you get to a certain location, it just gives it to you. It just plays ominous music every so often.
Ah. So we can die?
Ah.
And it's okay?
Why? Why did I just get nani'd?
Where are you? I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Got him to fall asleep. Bless.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you, Wild Wolf. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, that was a loud nani in my ear.
Up. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm happy that your toddler was able to sleep well.
Up. Look. Bam. Parkour.
Oh, you got a good path. Parkour.
Parkour. Oh, fuck.
I'm like, I will buy bits for this. Holy shit, really nothing.
I fell.
If the soothing voice of Ducky can put him to sleep, I'll take it.
Thank you. I fell.
You hear that, Ducky? Someone in my chat used our voices to put a toddler to sleep.
Oh my god, poor toddler. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that
Maybe
is
this
amazing.
game is too boring. Hey, the game might be boring, but I mean, if it works. I'm cheating.
The chaos is making him sleep. He's a good
Grab
kid.
it. Grab the pitten.
I grabbed it. I'm never letting off. Or I don't know how you say this, but I'm never.
Letting go.
Yes. You can go. I'm here. I'm good here.
Unfortunately, he's sleeping on me, so I'll not be moved from here.
Oh,
you're supposed to grab the wall and keep climbing. Where'd you go?
Here.
Oh, this is a bad time to climb. This is a bad time to climb.
Oh no. I'm getting super
Wait for the rain
hungry.
to pass and then climb.
No. I want to do it my way.
Grab the pitten.
I'll dance. Up. And the rain will stop. It didn't. It didn't work.
Rain dance. Rain, go away. We don't want you here today.
I'm watching you.
Let me pose.
Oh, wait. Let me watch your poke. Wow.
It's a great pose. Hey, the rain's gone.
You have impressed the rain.
We killing it over here. I whiz up the rain.
Exactly.
It's right there. Grab it.
I did it.
Wait for your stamina to come up and then climb up. I'll grab you.
Okay. Oh, I didn't grab it. I didn't. What?
So you get to hold the grab. Hold the grab.
This is what I do. This is. Wait. Okay. Desperate times, desperate measures.
Desperate times.
Look. Bam! I'm speed.
Yeah, made it.
Oh, fuck. I'm sleepy.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
You don't have a whole lot of stamina left, do you?
I don't have any left. Honestly, I have like a teensy bit of stamina left.
That's not good. Luckily, the stamina will eventually come back up. Oh no! Where are you going?
I don't know.
Where are you going?
I don't know.
Wait, where are we headed? Where's the exit?
Oh, here. Maybe here? Up.
I feel like we climbed too soon.
I think we did.
I don't know which way is up now.
I think it's here and then here.
Oh. Alright, sounds good to me.
Thank you.
I don't know if we're making this one though.
I have this.
Oh wait, there's a vine. Oh, we could use that. You could put it like right there, or like higher, and then we could just climb it. Yeah, that's right.
Up! Nice.
Perfect shot, look at that. And it come right to us, look at that.
It's perfect. I'm so proud.
Amazing. You are a pro with a gun. Or cannon. Uh-oh.
Oh. Thank you. I'm a pro with a gun.
Yeah. Oh, whoa, careful. Oh, run away! That was not part of the plan. Oh!
Wait, my mom is...
Oh, you okay? Okay. Peak gameplay indeed, Rustic. Peak gameplay indeed. All craziness. We got a child to go to sleep for us. We got all types of stuff. I'll entertain the masses. Don't worry. I'll try to get in front of your view. Oh, she paused, so you can't even see me. Oh, were you getting too loud? I'm sorry. I'll take blame for you. You can tell them to blame Vance. Uh-oh. I'm in danger. I'm in danger. I'm in danger. Oh.
Hi, Rustic. Thank you for telling me I was on mute on my live stream. This is humbling. Getting yelled at by your mom is
humbling. No, were you mute?
Yes, I was.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for the brain loading, Rustic. Okay, so where do we go now? Oh my god, there's a bunch of those.
Oh, those will knock you sideways.
Yeah,
honestly,
now,
I think going right there
I know
would
that
probably
they're not the good thing. Oh, there's a
they're not
box.
fun.
Oh. Up, parkour. Up, up, up. I go up. Oh, I did it. I didn't.
Well, I hear a bee. There's a bee right there.
There's bees.
But I'm so poisoned.
They're nice.
They're all bees. Oh. Sure.
I still have this.
That will heal your injuries and your poison if you want to use it.
That's nice.
And you can turn it off too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna use it. It's too pretty. It is too pretty. Look at how pretty it is.
It is very pretty. When you turn it on, it glows green on the inside.
Oh, they're so cool. I think it's time to dance.
It's time to dance. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Made it!
Wait. Okay, maybe I should eat because I have to eat you, but we have to finish at least this. Oh!
I'm not gonna be able to make the climb again.
It is a dance party mistake. Okay.
Dance party.
Yes.
Maybe we need to go a different route.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we need to go this way.
I think we saw the little box baggage thingy, and we got greedy.
Yeah, the suitcase.
Oh, what are those? They're so pretty.
Suitcase. Don't touch! Don't touch! Don't touch! Purple is bad.
Oh,
Purple's bad. Ah, dang it.
Yeah, they're not pretty anymore. I don't like them anymore.
Oh, they're pretty at a distance.
You're pretty but poisonous. Thank you, Rustic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the. Ooh, wait. Why is it foggy?
Watch the whole ad so you can get that back. Uh-oh. Hey, we made it. Well, I made it. Give me your hand. I'm falling.
I got.
Is there a higher point to climb? A lower point?
Do you have food?
I got a trumpet.
Oh,
Here,
nice.
throw me your backpack.
Okay, I'm throwing this. Do we need to eat the lollipop? Oh. Oh.
Hold on.
I'll go. Don't worry.
Where'd it go?
Here. I got it. Do I eat the...
Hold up.
No, where you at?
I'm right above you.
Oh. Do I eat the lollipop?
You can if you want to. I would say if you throw me the bag, it will give you a lot less weight, and I can hold it up here if you get up here.
Does it? Oi.
Okay. Hold on, let me get back up.
Oh my god,
Stinking rain knocked me over.
The rain.
The rain has really bad time. I'm not making it now, am I? Oh, I made it. Okay, I'm good. Oh, nope, not quite.
Okay.
A little higher.
Wait, I think I can go higher. You get it?
Got it. Oh, no.
Oh no.
Nope, it bounced. It's in the plants behind you.
Oh no.
That was a good throw, though.
What does the fog do?
It just means you're near the edge of the map.
Oh damn.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Keep running. Keep running.
I got.
Don't stay in there.
I got. I go.
Fairy lantern for the win. Oh, you hit another one. I'm coming, Ducky.
I died so quickly too.
Alright. Put your heel. Pulling this on for you. Come back, Ducky, come back. Ducky, come back.
I'm back.
She lives! Alright, Is Fairy Lantern still on? Does it still have power? Or is it out?
Yeah, it still has. No, it still has. It's still healing me. Oh, it's not.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, let me climb this again.
I'm sorry.
Now I have your backpack, so you should be able to carry it. No, you're fine. You're fine. I had to save you. No duck but left behind.
Up. I still am too weak.
Hold on. Try it one more time.
Okay.
Full stamina, climb all the way up and look for me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what the teamwork's for. Now where do we go from here? Oh, look out. Hey, look, there's a suitcase.
No soldiers
ads.
forgotten.
I'm sorry. I just got hit. No soldier left behind.
Oh. Old.
Hey, look, a medic bag.
Another medic
You
bag.
know what? I'll take. That's a lot of medic
I have
bags.
3. Oh,
can heal a lot.
I'm doing you 4. I'm doing you 4 fingers.
I have 3. Wait a second, that's 4 fingers.
Be careful. Thank you.
I'm playing a risky game here.
V2.
Risk was not worth it. Ah! I'm okay.
You're okay?
I'm okay. I'm behind you.
Oh, you're behind?
I'm back up on that rock.
Okay. How did you do this?
No soldier forgotten.
Damn.
Carefully. Oh, you're climbing that rock?
Wait. Look.
I mean, if it was...
Yeah. Okay, don't look.
Not looking.
Okay. Bam. Thank you.
Now I should be able to make this. Got it.
Okay.
We good. We Gucci. Oh no.
I'm too weak, Vance.
Here. I'll toss you something.
Go live your
Wait,
life,
where'd you go?
Vance. Be happy.
No ducky left behind. Oh, that rope did not help. Okay, that rope does help. Okay. Jump for me.
Nice. I think it.
We have an easy way up.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Keep walking forward. Find the rope and then just keep walking forward. Ah! Okay, maybe don't keep walking forward. Where'd you go? Did you miss the rope?
Yes, I did.
You just have to grab the rope. You don't have to jump for it.
Hi. How are you doing?
Oh, I see now. I see. You're really hungry. I see now. I make the jump. I got you.
Thank you.
All right, so you just grab the rope, climb up,
Okay.
and then just jump off.
Okay.
Yeah, you're very hungry. Do I look funny to you yet?
Not yet, but really soon.
Not yet. Okay. Well, I would say it's getting real close. Oh, you're not gonna be able to make this. I'm not gonna be able to make this.
I think we're cooked.
Cooked is one word for it. Well, I'm about to
Yes.
look cooked.
You'll soon be cooked.
I'll just play the song about people.
Celtic Bing Bong. Have any last words, Bing Bong? Have any last words?
Long live the king.
Okay, I'll dance.
Hey, Totsia kid. Oh, you're dancing?
I'm waiting to be hungry enough to eat you.
You're getting pretty close. You might want to use one of your medic bags to heal yourself up too.
Oh. I'll have 3.
Yeah, go ahead and use one.
Okay, I can do this. I feel powerful.
HP. I don't know about all that, but you know. This is a dead end as it is. This was not
There's
the way
a
to go.
lollipop.
It gives you infinite stamina, but only one of us can make it.
Okay. I know. I know. Please, survive for Bing Bong. I believe in you. Are you... Do you feel like you can do this? Because I believe in you.
Like I could do it?
Yes.
I mean, maybe, we could make another trial run. You should be getting pretty hungry now. You're getting very sleepy.
I am. But you're still not turning into chicken.
Oh, so you already know that I turned into chicken. Oh.
I didn't know you turned
Jody.
into chicken. I just thought in the cartoons you would turn into chicken. I have the best guess.
Funny you would mention something like that, because that's exactly what happens. I turn into a giant chicken.
For real?
Yeah,
Oh
for real, I turn into a giant chicken.
I just thought about the tastiest thing that I could think of. It was a chicken. We're waiting for our impending doom.
Right,
Very
you just gotta believe. Believe! Better than a giant... Indeed, much better than one of those, yes.
I think... Nah, we're still far away. I was like, you're our last hope. Because I still don't know.
I would have to go... We'd have to go down and around another way.
Down.
But you're so close to getting the achievement for eating people. I mean, eating large chicken.
Oh.
That,
it's not
I want you to get
cannibalism
that
if you're a
achievement
chicken. Is it now?
Exactly. Well, technicality.
Up.
Alright, well, while we wait, I'm gonna go back down.
Oh, you look awfully tasty right now.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, hey, that's a nice hat on that chicken. It'd be a real shame if somebody ate that.
If something happened to him, right? Let me think about it. Let me think about this. Are you ready, Vance? Are you ready?
Go for it.
I'm eating you. Goodbye, my friend.
Frozen in place is crazy.
Oh my god.
Alright, make that climb.
I'll make that climb. Or maybe this is too much. Maybe I should
You might
just
need to go down.
Maybe eating a frog was too much for me. Hi, Spinny.
I mean, it was a lot of chicken. Open case. No, he was eating full meal. I don't know if it would be considered full.
I'll join you.
Hey, this is all for the greater good.
I'll join you. I'm doing this once. I'm doing it.
I got you. You can make it. Oh, well, maybe not that.
Damn.
Well, you have the medic bags.
Yeah, I do. But I can leave.
Medic bags heal a lot.
I can leave without a
Oh,
friend.
suitcase.
I wanted us to do it
And you still have
together.
Run away from the scene of crime, buddy. Run. Ain't that the truth?
No one will touch me. No one. Oh fuck.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
Oh fuck.
Oh, that was a big hit. I don't think she's making the chat. I think that's a gonal.
Oh.
Poor Ducky.
I have my leg crossed
With
though,
that rib
like
face and
a true
everything.
lady.
That was a big hit.
I'm doing a go about you, Spinny. Ooh. I ate a frog today. Oh. I have the cannibal hat. Oh, nice, nice, nice. It's going to be okay.
You made it. You
Yes.
lived.
Look at me. Look, I'm a Labubu now.
Oh no, she's a Labubu. Not the Labubu.
I'm a Labubu chef. You're
Labubu
good.
chef.
No, it was not suicide, Spinny. It was following a friend to the afterlife. It's different. I love how like
She
I love how Spinny was shocked by the suicide but not the cannibalism.
Right. Right.
It's going to be okay. Your Wi-Fi is going to
Cannibalism's
get
fine,
better.
suicide's not so much.
I'm sending you Wi-Fi vibes. I don't know how it works. Oh yes, that's
Wi-Fi
fine.
vibes? Sending Wi-Fi vibes.
Yes, look, we're
Sending Wi-Fi
vibes.
vibes.
Wow, you have
All the
shoes.
Wi-Fi.
You have shoes.
Do I? Oh, I do. I'm wearing shoes.
You have shoes.
I think you're the only one not wearing shoes right now. I think that's the only outfit that doesn't have shoes, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think we lost because I was wearing a skirt. Look. I'm wearing shorts now. I'm a professional. Wow, look at
beat up
all these
ones don't have shoes.
Ooh. My brother unlocked so many out. Oh, look how professional you look now. Look.
You look like a chef.
Okay, now I look like the type of shit that like would eat someone. Look.
Well, that does explain the Labubu mouth.
Yes.
Your blessings walk, Ducky.
You have a little
Hey! Just doing my part.
Oh my god! Our little dancey dance fixed your Wi-Fi. I'm so happy. I could die.
Dancing at the moves. Up. Ooh, hold on. So there's a fun thing with the play dead. Did you know you can jump when you play dead?
Oh no, I didn't know.
Check it out.
Oh, it looks like a dead fish. Wait. I wanna. Oh fuck. I wanna be a fish too. Oh wait.
I mean, you're flopping around. you were flopping around. The whole thing is you play dead when you get on and now jump. And you just start going really quickly.
Ooh, amazing! I love this game.
This game is chaotic. It's so chaotic.
Do the fish. I do the fish again. I do the fish.
Okay. Do the fish.
Ooh. Hi, fishy friend.
Hey, how's it going?
Your leg was in the other way. Like, this leg was like here.
That sounds about right. Oh yeah, my leg's a little broken
some
now.
water. Where can we need to go to the beach to have some water? Can we jump around in the water?
Possibly, yeah, we could try.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I know this. It's big, right? Thank you for the hot
Yeah, just normal.
I don't know why. Oh, there we go. They're a little late. Thank you so much for the hot pot.
She's dead! Taking that. Don't mind me.
Oh, I'm waking up.
Oh, she's awake!
I'm awake! Okay. Fishy in the water. I'm not in the water. I'm in the water.
You gotta come and jump in the water first.
Oh.
And then fishy in the water.
Oh. I can see you
Except
under
I don't
the
see the water. Yeah, so I can't. Oh, you're on. Okay, I see your face on the
I
wall.
know the sound might be a little loud for my alerts, and it's like, you know, the metal pipe sound, and it keeps scaring everyone.
Oh jeez. Oh. Yeah, that does happen sometimes.
I'm the musician now. I have the power. Oh, water. Oh. What is this? I want to get in.
It's a cannon. Oh wait, you want to get in? Hold on.
Yes.
You ready?
No, I'm not. Wait.
You're in the cannon. It sucks you in.
Oh, it doesn't want to suck me. Suck me, please suck.
Yep.
Oh, it doesn't suck me. Whoa!
Nope, it got you.
Nice. How did it fire there, and I got here?
That's a good question that I don't have an answer to. I'm not entirely sure.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second.
Maybe suck me sounded a little weird. I'm sorry about this.
Yeah, just a little.
Where he got? Where he's at? Where is he? Where is he? Oh, it did suck me. I don't know if it felt good. Where is Vance? But yeah. He broke the game! He broke the game! Bye bye, Vance. Oh my god. Oh my god. He went to heaven exactly. He did. Oh my god. Oh my god. Don't worry, Vance. I saw this in your... I'm lurking at the same time on your live stream sometimes. Oh my god. What the frick is that? Oh my god! I got the hub! he was floating in the air. Oh my god. Is it breaking the... Oh my god, you speedrun this! You literally speedrun the game! You're a speedrunner! Oh my god! Yeah, exactly, I have a new hat. Oh my god. He freaking speedrun the game! And he didn't need to! You speedrun the game! It was a speedrun!
That was a speed
Oh
run.
my god! I wasn't familiar with your game, Vance. Oh my god! I like
Hey,
sowed the
I died
smoke.
at the very end.
I would, yeah, but like you didn't get like the cinematic. You didn't die.
No, I got the cinematic at the very end, but I died right before it picked me up on the helicopter.
Oh my god! Because like I just saw like you were there, and then you weren't not anymore.
I was gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was a glitch with the cannon.
You shot for your dreams.
There's a glitch with the cannon.
Yeah.
Good to see the launch. Yes, I was the host, Sindel. I was indeed the host. It works wonders.
It was beautiful.
But now you have a new hat. Now we don't have to take Bing Bong to the top. You can film every time.
Oh. Nice.
That's the Bing Bong hat.
No, I have this.
There's a.
Oh yes, it is. I'm
And now if
stupid.
you eat a lollipop.
Wow.
Well, it's not.
Look
It's
at
not
me. Look at my
this
hat.
Bing Bong hat. This is a special Bing
Look
Bong
at my
hat.
hat. Look at it.
This requires a different Bing Bong.
Your phone is twerking? Oh, tweaking! It's tweaking! Wow, what is
Yeah, wants to pick
this?
his phone.
How did you get this? Wait, can I?
The visor?
Can I? No.
No.
No,
I don't know.
I'm dead.
Oh.
I'm a fish.
DuuckyV2.
Twerking is crazy.
Well, it could be host only, Sindel, or it could just be that, you know, I know how to do it properly.
Yeah. It's a nice hat you got.
Remember
there.
at the top.
It's a
Thank
nice
you.
hat.
It helps block the sun.
I thought it was a fold.
I go golfing in this
I
hat.
thought your passport was a fold. I have a witch too. Look.
Oh, you got witch?
Yeah.
Witchy.
I don't know how.
Match. Hey, it's an achievement. You got an achievement somewhere. I'd say the only achievements I have left are to get stuck with cactus and res people. A lot of stuff here.
I have the resing people. Someone like how you didn't get it
See?
when I died and you saved me.
Well, I have one, but there's another one for saving 3 people.
Oh.
And For some reason, it glitched out on me and never gave it to me. I was supposed to have it, but it doesn't give it to me.
We need to protest. We need to protest. I'm mad now.
I mean,
I'm mad.
okay, I mean,
No.
with that speedrun cannon that we just did, I got these, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but no. I'm protesting. I am protesting. We want the achievement. I'm French. We
want
do
achievement.
Protest.
Revolution!
Yes. We're taking the best.
Protest. We're taking the Bastille. Oh my lord.
Okay. I'll start. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, send it.
Okay. No breaking the game. No breaking the game.
No breaking the game this time.
Okay.
No more breaking the game. Yeah, this is normal one.
Okay,
Normal one. Oh. Well, wrong button.
La résistance. Wait. Okay, I did it.
La résistance.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Your phone got in his floor and started twerking. I have a crown. Thank you so much for the crown. I did. I did.
Oh, hello. She did. She did.
Oh. I'm
Alright,
dead.
no breaking the game this time. There's no
I'm
cannon.
alive.
You live.
No cannon?
Angry witch with a boo face. No cannon, so no breaking the game.
Okay. I'm a musician angry witch. Oh, there's food. I won't eat food this time.
There is food. That's comforting.
Yeah, I died with a crown. So it's okay. I'm keeping this because this is like, I mean, like the non-essential stuff you put in the backpack, and the thing that you need the most is here. Just here.
Exactly, which is why we always have the trumpet on us.
Exactly. Oh, I need this.
9 hours only.
Does the lantern do something?
The lantern keeps you warm in the cold.
Where? Where is it cold?
Not on the beach.
Oh.
The cold is not on the beach.
Okay, then I don't need that.
Oh.
Oh. You have a bedroom! I can hear it! I'm lurking at the same time.
You're looking at the same time too?
Yes.
Gotta love me in my Pedro.
This is the only way
life.
I knew that you were like somewhere up there.
That I completely ran away? No, that I got to the very end
Exactly.
and fell for 40 seconds.
Doot, doot.
Yeah, we got this.
Doot, doot.
Gotta love Pedro.
Doot, doot. Doot, doot.
You have the bugle, right? You can play it. There's an achievement for the bugle. If you played for the capybara, you can get a special hat.
There is a capybara?
Yeah, well, we have to get though, but then we have to find it.
There is a capybara? I won't sleep, nor eat, nor anything if I don't see it.
Alright, hold on one second. Let me get you a coconut. I'm getting you all the achievements now.
Okay.
I gotta take a coconut to the top now.
There's a capybara!
Capybara.
What you mean, Spinny?
Lovey, capybara.
Spinny says that he senses that it's not going to go well.
What,
It
capybaras?
went extremely well.
Capybaras go
No. I think this round. I mean, like, did you see the last one? It was.
Oh yeah, last
beautiful.
round. Yeah, last one.
It was. Oh, can I?
We did
visit
amazing.
you? Come here.
You can. Oh, my shin. Oh.
Oh my god.
I'm okay.
We will. Can we headbutt the capybara? Important
Can you
question.
headbutt?
No, headbutt.
Head pat. It's a strong possibility. Yeah, we probably could.
Oh.
I never tried it before.
I'm gonna.
Probably could
Heads
head
up.
pat the capybara. I would say headbutt the capybara doesn't sound very nice.
Oh my god. I want to walk
could
on
probably do that too.
those. I want to. I will.
Woo! whole flip right there.
I love those.
Head pat, no motor. Yeah. Oh, craziness. The jellyfish be crazy.
For murder.
There's another one right there.
I already indulged myself in cannibalism, so why not murder?
Why not mortal? Oh jeez, wait a second. Yo, eat this.
Oh. Nice.
It's dangerous, go alone.
Oh. I love how you're feeding me now because you don't want me to eat you again.
Yeah, I don't want to be eaten a second time. Go ahead and open that.
Yes,
There's an achievement for opening 15. I'm gonna get you all of them. I'm gonna get you everything.
A granola bar.
That's a good item, actually.
Where are you? Oh, here. I got lost
Hey, run
between the
away.
thingy. Yes, feed the ducky
Gotta
or
rub the
suffer
thingy.
the wrath of the duck.
The wrath of the duck.
Oh, what? Oh.
Oh no! You went all the way down.
Wait. I wasn't paying attention. How much money are you betting?
Well,
Put the
so,
coins.
yeah, I would say, Spence, maybe you should create a poll on that one.
What? Of.
Create a poll if you think Ducky's gonna get off me a second time. She ate me in the first run already. Why can I not climb this?
How do you do? Oh, it's okay. Oh no, it's not.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's okay.
Jump past it! Jump past it!
How?
I got you! Don't stop! Jump! Nope! Oh no! I can't save you! She's gone again.
Good night, Dusty. Thank you so much for coming.
Good night, hustle.
Have the sweetest dream. Oh my god, I'm still alive, Vance. I don't know how.
We don't have.
Thank you so much for coming.
I don't have any medic.
Love
stuff.
you. Next time you'll come, you'll be a VIP. I promise.
You
Oh
need
no,
more
there's
people
no.
to chat in your stream to
I
get
liked
the-
them before. But now I have a bone to pick with those. Damn.
Valid.
Damn.
I don't know if you're gonna make this now.
I will. I believe.
Look at me! No! Oh, I got you! Oh no!
I'm dead, Vance. Oh no, I'm not.
Oh, I was about to say I was about to jump
I'm
down there and say
alive.
there
I'm
was
alive.
a suitcase to your left.
Oh. Do they spawn at
They
the
might have
same
a med
place
pack
all
in
the
it for you.
time? Ooh.
Yeah, so every map is always the
here.
same.
Ooh. There's
Is
bandages.
it good? That will help. Bandages will help.
She's alive again. Exactly. Oh fuck. I'll throw you
Drink
the
that water,
piss,
too.
the piss thingy. Like this.
Thingy the flail.
Damn, I need to drink water. This piss is
Oh, I
is
can't
dark.
see.
I'm a
Can't
ninja.
see. There's a lot of piss in my face.
Got my. Oh fuck. You did not see anything, chat. You did not see anything, chat. I'm immortal.
No Ducky left behind.
I'm being mischievous.
Oh, I kind of see you behind the smoke. Hi.
Hi. I did not take more damages at all.
No, that's okay.
I didn't. I did not.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, I did. I don't like to lie. I did.
That's okay. As long as you don't fall this time, just jump over it.
Okay.
Just gotta jump over it this time.
Okay. Wait.
Good. Hey, we did it. Ew.
I can't add you as a VIP
some cookies.
skinny because oh, cookies. Thank you. I ate one.
I'm gonna eat one too.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
I can't add you as a VIP if you're a mod.
Yeah, I would say mods are already above VIP.
Yeah, they're above VIP mods.
Yeah, mods will have more power than VIPs. So if you're a mod, you can't be a VIP because you're already above them.
Oh.
If you have a VIP that you vote now or shut up level.
This is my mod right there. Oh, what the?
I hear. Yeah, those are not fun either.
Oh.
They're like the jellyfish. Yeah, so you can have a VIP, and if you make the VIP a mod, then they'll become a mod, and and those are free VIP spot.
Oh. I thought
But
it
mods
was
have
like...
a lot of power, so you gotta be careful with it.
True. This is why I chose Spinny. He overuses his power. This is all I was looking
He
for.
overuses his power.
Yes. This is perfect. This is all I have been asking for in the mod.
This might be a dead end.
Oh, maybe. Maybe there's...
Yeah, it doesn't look like it goes anywhere. Alright, well, left or right? Right it is.
I think here. You know what? I believe in us.
There's not good.
Thank you. Oh. Okay.
I won! Why
one.
am I... Don't eat me! Oh yeah, this ain't walking chief.
Sorry, I have to. Oh no.
The suitcase up there.
Oh, I didn't take damages.
You okay?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, we're gonna go
Exactly,
the other
poor
way.
Vance. Poor Vance has to...
Poor me. Why do I
Has to
have to
be
get
weak.
eaten again?
Don't worry, I won't eat you. I will
Okay.
just... Wait. I think I got lost again.
Wait, why are you all the way over there now? Careful right here.
Oh no.
That's not friendly.
Oh no, Speedy. Speedy's using his power for evil. Oh, I'm here.
Uh-oh. Oh, only mode. Yeah, I see that.
Thank you.
You're gonna make it out of here alive this time.
I
Well, at
love
least
her.
you will.
I
Because
love
apparently
these
you're gonna
emotes.
in my life again. Those are good emotes.
This is Rosie's emote there. It's so cute. There's cute as her. Thank you.
You didn't even have to climb. You just jumped.
Yeah, but I appreciate the fact that you helped.
I'm trying.
Oh,
You're gonna grow to be a big streamer. Oh, mushrooms.
oh,
These are
shrooms. Wait. Huh. Are you sure they're safe because they have acne?
A certain shroom that has acne is not safe. These shrooms
Okay.
with acne are safe.
Okay.
If you need to eat more than one, you can.
If I get high, it's your fault.
Hey, that'll be a good time.
Because Speedy wanted to show his power. It is one of the most powerful... wait, I read for D. One of the most powerful being in here. Thank you for the crown.
Ooh,
Sorry for the screamer.
eat that. Eat this.
You can read. Oh, thank you. Nom.
That's a good one.
Ooh. I feel energized. I think we're ducked. To be polite. Thank you for the
I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go.
Gambling.
Well,
I
that's
love gambling.
Gamba?
Gamba.
Gamba. All the gamba. Gamba.
Aren't like a type of shrimps named gamba? Gamba shrimps or something like this? Oh, you're making me hungry.
Yes, actually.
Be careful, Vance.
Gamba? Gamba's making you hungry?
Yes.
I don't... Okay, I'm not sure how that works, but okay.
Because gamba makes me think about shrimps. I like shrimps. Boom. Hungry.
Oh, I see. So desu ka. Ah! Didn't make it.
I'm gonna win.
This is
I'm gonna
gonna be
win.
tight.
I'm gonna win. I didn't. Thank you, you saved me.
This map is rough.
I don't know how I'm gonna pass the jungle when the first map is making me like almost die already.
Not that way. Right, we did this last time.
Okay,
Not this way.
okay.
I see that shelf shroom over there. I'm like, oh yeah, shelf shroom. Nope. Ah! I didn't jump.
Yes, Williams.
Make sure to jump.
I was not talking about like eating gamblers. I mean,
I thought you were. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, she had her protein for the day.
Spinny?
Where's the ledge?
Spinny?
There's a ledge over here somewhere.
Are you using your power? Where are you at? You're here. You're here. I was like, I was going to jump to save you. Oh yes, there is a... I was like, how are we going to get up? I forgot that there was like a chill spot. Oh.
Yeah, I was looking for it. Hey, more water.
Bro.
So it's always good to stay hydrated.
Oh. Huh.
I don't have space for the... Oh, here. You eat one.
Thank you.
I eat one. Now I have space for food.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Are ropes like really useful? Like are they good?
Oh yeah, they're good.
Nice, nice.
By yourself, they're not very good, but with other people, they're really good.
Oh, nice. I mean, like by myself, I wouldn't have been live really long.
Nah, you would have made it. You would have. You could make it to the peak without me. You probably go faster without me. Remember, you're helping me out. So. I'm not helping you. You're helping me.
You didn't see me fight against the jellyfish?
You were showing that jellyfish who's boss, okay? I haven't seen anyone take out a jellyfish the way you took out a jellyfish. It was impressive.
I think it's I think the jellyfish took me out. To be honest.
I don't know. It looks like you're higher up on the mountain than it is, so it looks like you won.
Real. Damn, that was cold. Wait. I need the... Fuck you, jellyfish! Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
That works.
Wait, if it's not you doing this, who's doing this?
What do you mean?
Like there is my chat one like was cleared by a moderator. The room was in 1 month follower only mode, and Spinny is swearing that it's not him.
I swear. Wait, you have another mod that was in the chat earlier.
Yeah, but he went to sleep.
Did he?
Maybe. Rossi, is it so?
Maybe they're lurking.
Maybe. Well, I think he's going to like he went
chat?
to sleep. He wakes up really early, like 3 a.m.
Well, yeah. The only mod in your chat right now is Spinny.
Spinny. I won't be mad. I would actually be proud if you did this.
Technically, there is another way a broadcaster can do it too.
Huh. Okay. We need to dance to have something good, right?
Dance, okay, we're dancing.
Nice.
What do we get?
What is this?
Hey, Bugle Friendship. That's a good one. So that one is like a lollipop. When you play it, it gives the other person all those stamina back.
Oh, that is amazing.
But you only play it for a little bit, and they get all the.
Yeah.
It's a really good item to climb.
I saw the little bar on the top, and I was like, yeah, I'm not pressing this.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to eat?
It's a really good one. I'm okay.
Okay, I'm gonna eat. It was to make some space. Yes.
Okay, here you go.
I have 2 trumpets.
Oh, the trumpet. Oh, don't forget to open this up.
Oh, I forgot that I had a backpack. Oh, I have to open. No worries, when it happens. I was like for not really long, and it was funny.
Uh-oh. Oh, what you trying?
I'll keep it for the end. I'll keep it for later. I'm gonna.
It's a really heavy item. You sure you want it?
Yes.
Oh no, she wants it. Okay.
Do we need 2 ropes?
Shooting for the skies again.
I'm taking it.
I have 2 ropes.
Oh, maybe we don't need 3.
It's always good to have. Oh, don't forget to cook your food.
I don't know if the TTS works. If they're working, Spinny.
Oh.
Don't use them today, because I tried it earlier and it didn't want to work. We're shooting for the sky. Nice. Oh, I'm eating this. Nom. Oh, thank you. Oh wait. We don't need this,
All
bro.
the achievements. Yeah, you can just go. We'll find it.
Okay.
Oh, you're using it.
Yes.
So you have to scroll it out to use all of them.
Ah. Hi. I'm tying a knot.
Such little rope.
That doesn't work. I don't like this. Go away.
Alright, on the way. Oh wait, hold on. You want to try the frisbee thing
I
again?
can tie multiple knots with the rope. Ah. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you. I have a nice alert. That was
All the
adorable.
books.
What you mean back in your children? I don't go near children. They're scary. Like once I was in a bus to go to uni, and there was a bunch of kids that came in. I went out. I waited for the next one.
That's fair.
If you think cannibals are scary, wait till you see kids.
Cannibal kids.
Oh, I never thought about that.
That'd be terrifying.
It will. It would. Oh, where am I?
Just keep going down. I'm gonna try to throw you the frisbee again.
Okay, okay.
Uh-oh, now it's raining.
Oh no. Oh no.
Right.
Where you at? Oh, you're here. You're here. Okay, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here! Oh no. Okay. Can you see me? Okay. Oh. Okay. Where you at? I think I lost you. I lost you! Oh. Okay. I'm here.
Alright, you ready?
Yes. Yeah. I did it!
Yeah.
Damn, that was a good throw. I even fall. Okay, catch it back.
I'll try.
Oh.
It's a little low.
Yeah, it was a little low.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Oh.
Ooh, saved it.
Okay, Spinny, you don't tell people that I
Yeah.
eat children. It's a secret that you did not hear anything, Vance.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear a thing. Ooh.
Nom. Ooh, a box. Oh, what is this?
Eat that.
It's the Gamu. I'm gonna become Luffy. Oh, nice. Am I Luffy yet?
Yeah, but now we can't swim.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, no stretchy arms yet.
Oh, what is this?
That's antidote, so if you get poisoned, you can drink it. But you might want to use the bandages.
Yeah, true.
We gotta get you all the achievements today.
I'm gonna be...
Maybe not all, but most.
I have never achieved so much in my life before today.
It'll be good.
Oh! You want peanuts?
I'm okay, actually. I'm good.
Okay. You want heal?
I'll carry them.
Huh?
I'll carry them.
Okay.
I got an open slot. I can carry them.
Okay.
Alright.
I'll drink the
Where are we
water.
headed?
Damn, I have a lot of banana. Wait, what? No, this is what the Gumu did. I'm stupid.
You're still fed? You got a really big morale ball there. That's crazy. Alright, let's see. So the left side is not good.
Left side is not good.
Because that's what we did last time, right? Ooh,
I like the echo.
Yeah, we have that. It does echo in here, doesn't it?
It made me want to get... Oh, what is this? Oh no, it's the boom. You're a time
boom
traveler,
boom's
Spinny.
not too
This
good.
is why you have your stream a little bit late. Thank you!
Very welcome. Careful with this water.
Can we go in the water?
We ate the gum gum. Well, we ate the gum gum, so we can't swim.
Oh, true. What? Huh.
I guess we go this way. I see more suitcase.
One more thing where I can't swim. Can't even swim IRL, so it checks out.
Oh. No, you're a duck. You float.
I float. I don't. Exactly. I float. I don't swim.
You know what? That one. Oh, you got up.
I'm getting the hang of it.
Alright.
I'm becoming a professional climber.
You're a pro. Don't let them come into your life. Now, where to go is the question. We gotta go that way, but...
What if we go here and then on the vine?
Yeah, that works.
Nice.
Good call.
Okay. Up there? Okay.
Climb away. Vance, don't do something stupid. I'm with my eyes on you.
But the gun now it's spinning. Not yet. It would make the meat not as tasty if you shoot him.
I don't know where to go.
I don't know either. Maybe there? I don't know.
This is back on left side now.
Nah. The cursed
I'll try not to do
side.
anything too crazy. It's very accosted.
They should be worried about what I do. I've been the one doing the dumb stomp. Wow, look. We can see the beach. It's beautiful.
Yes, that.
It was my little moment.
I see a mushroom. I'm gonna go grab the mushroom real quick for you.
Oh.
Careful with that.
Don't worry. I'm a professional.
Here, eat this.
Oh, it's the asshole mushroom. This one is good.
This one is good indeed. The apple mushroom is good.
Is there an opening there?
I don't know. Doesn't... I mean, I see light right there.
Yeah, but I don't
So
think...
that means there's an opening somewhere. I don't think we'll be able to climb that high.
Yeah, we're too thick. We can't.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I got it.
Down.
Yeah.
Oh.
I see another mushroom for you, too.
Big light.
Wait. Is that a good mushroom or a bad mushroom?
I have never eaten so many mushrooms in my life. I feel like a crackhead.
A crackhead eating shrooms? Crackheads don't eat shrooms.
I think they do like in movies they are like, take those shrooms.
That's fair. I can see that. Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you. Like in many movies are like the shrooms. When I was younger, I was like, why would they eat like shroom like criminals? It's good.
Right, that's true. Very true. I'm waiting for the rain. Actually, hold on.
A sample dance.
Dance the rain away. Oh, it's not too bad.
Thank you.
Although it looks like we're just going back.
Look at this beautiful view. We cannot see
It is
anything. I have everything low.
I see the moon.
True. It's a croissant. The moon is French.
The moon is French croissant.
No,
I'm okay. I'm alive.
Okay.
I'm alive. I don't know how I did that, but I lived.
I don't know either. You look like a goat. You know, like those climbing goats. Exactly.
I don't know. I guess we gotta go back the other way because this is not the way to go.
Huh.
There's that mushroom again.
Oh, shrooms. I'm getting addicted.
Yeah.
I'm getting addicted.
Getting addicted to the shrooms do be crazy.
Pop.
This way. Maybe? Go ledge here, please? Ledge?
Okay.
No ledge. Ow!
Don't worry.
Good thing I have bandages.
Oh no. Worry.
Oh, you just took damage too, didn't you?
Yeah, but don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I feel more comfortable like with damages because I'm always damaged.
Oh no. It's not a good side. It's not good to be damaged. Damage product is still fun though.
Oh, what is this?
Uh-oh.
It's bad textures. It's bad textures. It's nothing like cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Whoa, what's up with
But
this? Elbow. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, you climbed up, didn't you?
Yes. This is where I jumped, remember? I jumped like we were up and I jumped here, remember? Because I remember this like
yeah, you wanted that suitcase. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, luckily there's some food right below us. So.
Here, take
Careful
this.
with that.
This is the energy ones.
Yeah, that's a good one. I want to save those for later though. But I'll leave them.
Nom.
All the food.
Oh, the food.
How's your food looking?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, poison! Poison!
You want antidote? I have antidotes. Where you at?
Actually, yeah, use the antidote. Use the antidote. Just don't lose the backpack. That's not the antidote.
That's... You need it too?
You use one and then use one on me, yeah.
Okay.
There's an
there's
achievement for that too.
multiple.
Woo!
Nice.
Multiple uses, yeah. Yeah. See, we got this.
We're professionals. Please don't do this at home. You might die.
Do not try. Do not try at home. Well, this doesn't look good either. But
I won't try this at home. First of all, because I'm lazy, and second of all, because I sometimes fall in the like stairs scares me, so I'm not climbing any mountain any soon.
That's failed. That is completely failed. All right, I'm gonna do something crazy.
Okay. Oh! Look at him! I'm doing the same.
That's a lot of poison.
Thank you.
That's a lot of poison. Hey, you still have some antidote left for yourself? Oh, thank you. What about you?
Don't worry. I'm a professional. Look. Bam. I even have trail mix. Nom. See?
Hey, there you go. Trail mix is good.
And I have like the energy cell from the gum. So it's
Hey, that's
okay.
a good food right there too.
What is this?
Oh, I hear bees.
Oh no.
Where are the bees? I want the bees.
What is this?
So if we can grab this, that's a berry. It's a healthy berry. If I can grab it. Got it. Here you go.
It shines.
Eat it. It's a good one.
Ooh, it gives me health. Thank you.
I'm gonna be kind of crazy. Give me 1 second.
I'm gonna be crazy too. I was crazy once. Oh no! What the fuck?
I said I was gonna be kind of crazy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Nom. Oh, so many energy.
All right, so
I'm taking one in my backpack.
well, I would say we need to save one for you to eat after it's cooked.
Oh my god. I need a toast. Now I need a toast.
Yeah, we need to toast it. All right, we're gonna climb this up now. I guess it seems like the easiest method. Just be very careful.
I am. I'm always careful. I'm never careful. I wanna dance. What if I danced right now?
You can dance.
Oh.
Just gotta be careful with it. Careful dance.
Thank you. I thought I was dead. Wait.
I don't know where to go.
Under the break. I almost died.
Uh-oh. You almost died?
Yes. It's not true. It's dramatic. I really thought I was like sleeping when I was on the thing. I stopped like moving for a second and he slipped. I was like, damn.
Yeah, it kind of slides. You kind of slide on it sometimes.
Oh. Sorry, I think I grabbed your butt climbing up.
Hey, I walk out buns of steel, so I mean, as long as it's good handhold, I guess I can't complain.
That was a perfect handle.
Perfect handle. I'm glad it walked. Wait, that might not have been my butt. Hold on a minute.
Oh. Oh. Can I touch those?
I don't know what.
They're
Oh yeah,
good?
you can touch those. You can touch them.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they're not purple.
Thank you. Up. Oh my god.
Oh no.
Oh my god. They didn't explode when I did that. Oh, I still have the friendship breast.
Oh, went
stuff.
flying. Yeah, but then you lose
brain. Oh.
it. Because those were the binoculars. I wanted to save them for later.
Oh,
But,
yeah, but you know, we have eyes. They do the same thing. Maybe it was.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe I should have.
climbing in the rain. Yeah, I would say climbing in the rain is a little rough.
Okay.
I don't know where we're headed.
I don't know either.
Well,
Oh my god.
those are pink bananas. They're not healthy.
Ah.
Pink bananas.
They
No,
can't
pink
make
bananas are
pink
really
bananas
bad.
and make them unhealthy. This is so evil.
Right?
This is evil.
Right? That's what I said. I'd say blue bananas are healthy, which is really weird. Brown bananas are healthy.
Yum.
Yellow bananas are healthy.
But
Doesn't make
pink
any
ones,
sense.
not healthy.
Pink ones are not healthy. Yeah. Whoa! Look out, those
Whoa,
will
whoa,
pop
whoa.
out. Yeah, didn't see that. That's no good. I'm gonna see if I can do this. Let's see. Nope. Oh, made it. Okay, we're good. Alright.
Oh, thank you. I don't know how it worked.
I don't know. You look really weird on my screen. Climbing the leaves. All the leaves. Yeah.
The game was like, damn, I pity you. I'm gonna help you a little. Oh no!
Oh!
Are you okay?
That's a lot of poison. I'm good. Oh, hey, look. Medicinal root.
I'm waiting.
You need some roots?
Yes.
That did not go very far.
Up. Thank you.
Lunch.
Wow.
Actually, it was poison too. Alright. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Man. I don't know. This is rough.
Wow.
This is
There's
rough.
only one thing left to do.
Dance.
Dancing is the way to do stuff and have fun.
All the dance.
Stop
You want to
this
go right or
rain.
left?
Let me think a little bit. This one looks safe. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go that way. Sounds like a plan. We're above where we were last time, so that's always good.
I mean, you went a little
So we
bit
should
more
be-
above with the cannon.
Oh, that's okay. Oh yeah, but the cannon. Well, we don't talk about the cannon. Cannon didn't happen.
What the
I don't know
fuck
what
about
we're
it? You literally like just speedrun the game, like a champ.
Well, I wish I could say I found it, but I did not find it. It's actually a buddy of mine that found it, and I figured it out first out of the group.
Damn. I would have never figured it out. I mean, the cannon didn't want to suck me in properly, so...
It sucked you in just fine.
Like,
Man, this rain!
the cannon was here. It was supposed to send me here. It sent me here. Oh, are you okay? Are you getting poisoned?
Yeah. Oh!
Oh, I'm here.
I got poisoned somehow. I don't know. Whoa! Whoa!
Oh, whoa.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I don't know what's going on. Boing. Yeah, I would say if you crouch and then you jump with someone on top of you, that sends them flying.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. Gives you an
So
extra
cool.
jump boost. Please be a... Okay, I made it.
Okay.
Oh, I got a tick on me.
What is a tick? Oh, a tick! Oh, can I help you with
It's
it?
on my foot. Can you get it? Yeah, can you pull it off?
Where is
on my
it?
foot.
Oh, it's a bingo tick!
Ah, thank you. That's a big tick.
Nom
You can
nom.
eat it.
And
You
this
can
is...
eat it.
You didn't need to tell me. I saw eat. I pressed eat.
Munch.
That is... Oh, no! Oh my god,
This
oh my
is
god.
fine.
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out what was poison.
Where
I thought
we
I hit
go
something,
now?
but I guess I...
Okay. Can we... Do you think we can do this? Up.
Maybe, but I mean, we have a path right here.
Oh, true. I don't know why I'm making it. Oh, is this good?
No.
Oh.
That one is not good. Only the pulp ones are good, which is sad. It's another
Taking
gum gum,
it.
but that's a bad gum gum.
Don't worry. I'm taking it. Not to eat it. But like, if we come across the boom boom, I can use it.
You can throw it. Ah, sneaky. Clever.
Are we doing that?
We're almost at the top.
Oh, there's
we
a
are at the
purple
top.
one. Thank you. There's a purple.
Where?
There's two.
Oh, there's two of them.
Yeah.
That's a little high.
Risk it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I wouldn't. I don't know.
Nah, probably not. Oh, you can throw the green one at it. I'll try to catch it underneath if you throw the green one at it.
Are you ready? Oh.
Oh, well. Didn't quite make it. It's okay.
I didn't.
It's
make
okay.
it at
It's all good.
all. No.
We didn't need them anyway.
No.
It's okay. Don't be sad. It's okay. It's your first time throwing stuff. You don't. It's the aim is really hard.
It's not my first
Look, it
time.
made
I
sense
threw
out.
like the disc.
Oh, that's true. You did throw the disc. That's true. You're still learning. It's okay.
Okay, we need
do
to
we get this
dance.
time?
Don't forget. Dance to
Oh, yeah,
appease the
dance.
starter. Give us something
Dance.
good. Oh, what is this?
Rope. So that's an anti-rope cannon. So when you use it to make the rope goes up instead of down.
What the?
Yeah, it's weird.
That's weird. That's cool.
I like
it.
They're cool.
Yeah, I like it too.
It's a cool item.
I'm getting hungry.
We won't need it for this next
In
area.
real
So
life,
here you go.
I might eat my mic.
In real life? Don't eat your mic. If we need to take a break to go eat, go take a break to go eat. We have been streaming for 2 hours. And I have a drink that I haven't opened up yet. I need to open up this drink.
Nah. I don't want to see my mom. She's gonna yell at me
Oh.
again.
Oh, that's not good.
Nah. She's cool. She like, I didn't expect her to be here. Like, she was supposed to still be at work, but she finished earlier.
Oh.
I mean, imagine.
Eat it.
Okay. Wow. Gave me so
Yeah,
much.
it gives a lot.
Yes.
And don't forget about your marshmallow over here.
I still have my first marshmallow.
I do too.
I
So
think
now I just have 2 marshmallows.
I think I'll eat one because why not? And oh, you
Right.
have and I put the lollipop and bam. Look at my backpack, how pretty it is now.
That's a very pretty backpack.
See?
I'll put the yellow marshmallow in my
Yours is
backpack.
pretty too.
Mine's
Aw.
mostly food. So this is the area where the lantern would be useful, but not
Can I put the
necessarily.
backpack in the backpack?
Are you sure you don't want to? I don't think so. We can try. Let's see. Nope, won't let us.
I can't even take it.
I just tried.
Like, there's...
Oh, it's because you're wearing a backpack.
Yeah, no, but I can wear it on my belly. Look, like this. Bam. 2 backpacks.
I could walk 2 backpacks.
Exactly.
All the backpacks.
But don't worry, I have apple juice. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that works. Oh, I know what I didn't do. Hold on. Could your computer run a shared chat
How do you do this?
So if I click over here on the stream and I click on ask to join the stream, it's like knocking. It gives you a little prompt on your Twitch, and then you can join. We can mute the microphone, and then I can turn on shared chat that way. That way the chats can see each other. It helps get VIP stuff. Because then people are talking in both chats. If, you know, people talk.
Our chats are gonna merge together.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Should have done that earlier when everybody was still talking. So I sent you the invite, so now you have to accept the invite. It only works on...
I think I accepted one. Like,
Firefox or Chrome. Which is weird. I don't know why it only works on Firefox and Chrome.
It doesn't work, like it doesn't show it on OBS directly. Because I saw in the invite, I pressed accept. And it didn't do stuff.
Oh. It showed on the OBS chat?
Yes. Because I...
well,
if I
go to your...
I'm scared.
Yeah, I'd say I don't want to crash your computer. That's what I was asking. I don't want to crash your computer. It's really weird. It's okay. We don't have to do it. It'll be okay.
Yeah, but no, I want to. No, I want to.
It's a fun one to do, but that's just you gotta be really cautious with it. Because right now the only two that work are is Chrome and Firefox, and I don't know why. I've tried using Microsoft Edge, it doesn't work. I've tried using Safari, it doesn't work. I've tried everything.
Yeah.
Only those two seem to work. And
well,
it
that
gets
means
very
that we have to collab another time, so I'll do it. Oh, we have no other choice now, Vance.
Yep, gotta do it every time.
Exactly.
Every time.
But I didn't know about it. This is so cool.
Yeah, and then the chats, it has a little icon of what chat they're talking from. So I have my picture of me if they're talking from my chat, or a picture from you if they're talking from your chat.
That is so cool. Oh, what the fuck? I didn't watch behind us.
Oh, this is our new area.
Is that the close?
Maybe.
Yes.
So you see the smoke at the very top?
Yes.
So that's the campfire, but we want to find another smoke, and that's where we find the capybara, which is what you use the trumpet for. Yeah. Yeah, you play that for the capybara and you get an achievement.
I need this. I need this. I won't only have an achievement in the game, but in my heart. I'll tell my mom.
Capybara is really cute.
You yelled at me, but I played trumpet for a capybara. Did you? Did you, Mom?
Yeah. Did you play music for a capybara?
I don't think so.
Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, sorry. Oh no! Storm!
Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? I'm following you. I don't know.
It's a blizzard!
Maybe we need to.
We gotta get out of the storm. Jump down here quick.
Oh.
Alright. Alright. We just wait here for a little bit and wait for the storm to pass.
Oh.
No!
It's okay. I fainted. Oh no, I did.
It's the backpack. Take your backpack off.
I took it off.
Alright, here. Take this back. Take this back. Alright. Wait for the cold to go away a little bit and then pick the backpack back up. Alright, we're good.
I'm taking it now.
Next time the storm...
I'm taking it now.
Yeah.
No.
So, when the storm comes in, you have to find a rock to hide behind.
I think that's on Twitter. Like, I think I saw that there was a desert map.
There was. It's not here anymore. It might be back next week. I'm gonna grab one of these. Food.
Nom 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 nom.
Give me food. Oh, that's a drop.
Oh.
Okay.
I almost just jumped.
I was about to jump it too. I was like, oh yeah, this should be easy. Like, nope.
Imagine we finally went after the jungle just to jump.
Just to jump and fall. Whoa, that's a lot of stamina. Okay. You made it. Alright, there's a suitcase right there, and a suitcase over there. We're gonna get you all these suitcases.
Suitcase.
And in these suitcases, what you really want... Storm! Find a...
This
Oh, I'm out of stamina. Yeah, that should be a good rock. Just get behind it.
Give me your hand.
Oh yeah, we're good. Okay. I'm good. So, with these, you're looking for an item called a heat pack. I'm okay right now.
Okay.
Because I ate that berry. That's a good berry. Alright, the storm's done. We're gonna go this way because there's another suitcase right here. I saw it earlier. This is for you.
By the way, I was just thinking, thank you again for wanting to play with me because I know I'm not the.
Oh, of course. You're a lot more entertaining than I am.
I don't think
you'll
it's
be here talking about.
I think it's just that I have a lot, you know.
There's nothing wrong with being a lot.
Thank you.
Most of the fun people to watch are a lot.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any streamers that you watch, like big streamers?
As I said last time, like in your chat, I watch Kenji, and yesterday, I was not sleeping. I was watching one of his like.
Didn't he in to go poop or something?
Yes, he did.
I remember seeing your tweet.
Yeah, he was literally like, oh no, chat, I'm sorry, because he wanted to watch another thing, and he was like, I'm sorry, chat, I need to shit. And he was like talking about clenching his butt and stuff.
Oh my lord, that's crazy.
The worst
but that's Kenji for you.
Yes, but it was not the only one. Like he said in another. Can I use it, or do you want?
Yeah, use it. No, I'm good. I don't have any damage. Use it.
Okay.
You gotta get as much damage as possible. We gotta get you to the top.
Like earlier in the same stream, he was like, "Okay, chat,
Storm, look out!"
Okay. Oh.
Find a rock.
Where you at?
I'm back at the old rock that we were just talking about before.
Oh, I think I'm between two rocks that look like ash cheeks. Oh, you're here.
I see you. I'm right above you. All right.
Yes.
We're actually gonna go that way.
As I was saying,
I'm listening. I'm still listening.
In the stream, he was like, "Okay, chat, I'm gonna try something," and he was just like him trying to see if he wanted to poop or fart. So,
oh.
Yeah. It was a lot.
That's Kenji.
Yeah.
Kenji's
But the worst
chaotic.
is that it made me laugh. I was questioning myself.
Well, yeah.
Am I really laughing at foreign jokes? And I was.
I mean, it's a good joke. So.
The weapons.
Do you have the space for that?
No.
I do. Here, I'll eat one of my marshmallows and I'll
still have this.
So that way we can use it. Oh my lord. Alright, this one, if you open this one, it's gonna take some health.
Oh.
Just fair warning.
Oh, it's a
but it has a really it can have a really good item. Yeah, it has a really good item inside.
I have a medic kit. I have a medic kit. Okay.
Backable.
Get back.
And it counts for your counts.
Get back.
I'm backing up.
Get back.
Backing up. Oh no! Find cover!
No.
Find cover! Ah! Oh jeez. Right here.
Here, wait.
It would happen right then.
I'm giving you some warmth. Don't mind me.
Actually, funny enough, those are a recommendation to stay together so you don't get cold as fast.
Damn.
Yeah. They actually implemented that in the game. I thought that was crazy. See, you know about this game better than you thought you did. Alright, here we go. I'm standing back. And then we can talk about Kenji almost pooping himself later.
I'm professional. Please stay back.
Stand back.
Oh, what is this?
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah, it heals everything.
Okay, I'm taking the medic kit. I'm using it.
Yep.
I'm not a medic anymore.
Use
I'm a witch, but still.
Well, you're all wearing the hat.
Oh, I'm thinking maybe we shouldn't have put those outfits on. Look at us. We're harlots.
Yeah, you all
we
wear
have our feet in the snow. Oh.
Yeah.
Balloon!
That's a good one. Oh, well, I would say if you just hold on to it, it makes you lighter. There's another bag over there. Whee!
Oh.
I can jump forever now.
Oh, sorry. I see a balloon. I put the balloon on you.
Another balloon.
Can I put another one on you?
Sure.
Wow.
So there is an achievement for having. Hey, use it. Turn it on quick. We still gotta get cover. Alright.
Oh, no,
see how it keeps us warm? Yeah, it's not working too well, but it's oh yeah, there we go. Much warmer. And look how fast it goes.
Okay,
Crazy.
it's a good item. I'll...
Yeah, it's pretty useful.
Yeah, I'll keep it in my hands for now. I don't know how I'll come.
I'll tell you what. I'll climb up here and you throw it to me.
Nice, nice, nice. Nice.
Got it.
Is it like
Yeah,
slippery?
that's the one thing about having...
Is it like the water? Like the ice is a little slippery?
It can be. It can be. Not always, but it can be. Alright. So...
Yeah,
where
two
is...
balloons. Of 2 balloons. Your hands are a little broken. Your hands
okay.
are a little...
Oh!
We're here.
Behind a rock. Oh, there? Okay.
Here.
Well, as long as we're protected from the storm, we don't need to use the lantern.
Your hands
My hands
are
are broken.
not
You screamed
broken.
out?
Yeah, yes. I'm worried about you once. How are you climbing with this?
Oh, they're behind my back. Oh my lord. They're in the backpack.
It's because you were so cold you had to put them somewhere.
Yeah, well, you know, they say between the legs is the warmest spot, but I beg a differ.
It's in the backpack in your back.
2, 3. Uh-oh, that might have gone the wrong direction.
Oh my god. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get revenge. I'm gonna get you. Oh, you helped me! Okay, I forgive you.
You forgive me?
Yes.
It might be up here still, I don't know. Uh-oh. Gotta stay down.
I took damages when I was already there.
What?
Yes, I did like
Crazy.
the... Psst, psst, this game. Oh yes, 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 yes.
Hey, whoa.
Apple juice.
Oh, right there. Right there. You see that smoke?
Yes. Capybara.
That's the capybara.
I'm going. I'm going.
We also need to get an item from them, too. So you can play the music for the capybara, and then we can grab the item, and we have to save it till we get to the very top.
Oh my god.
We're gonna get you there.
Oh my god.
It is not my mission. We're so close.
Oh my god. Imagine I fall now. Don't imagine.
Oh, ah, oh no! Get down!
I'm getting down. I'm getting down.
We're safe here. It's a little cold.
It's a little... Maybe we should have put some jackets on. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, wearing shorts in this weather probably wasn't the best idea.
Oh.
Short sleeves. I shaved my mustache with this too. Can't believe it.
Maybe you should have kept it.
Yeah, I might have kept it normal. Alright. Ah! Ah! Did you throw that?
Yes.
That works out well because I was about to say I don't know how I'm gonna get past this.
Oh my god.
I was sliding.
Oh.
I was sliding.
I'm meant to see this capybara.
Alright. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah. Nope, not high enough. Hold on.
It's purple. The sky is purple.
Yeah.
I was looking at the sky. I almost fell into a hole.
We're gonna get you those capybara. Yeah, it's not gonna come all the way down. We gotta climb.
Okay, okay.
Oh, we got it. We got it. I got you. And I have extra rope in case.
Thank you. Yeah, it is really quiet today, Spinny. It's because everyone is holding their breath. Not to make us fall
It's
with bounce.
anticipation.
Yes, exactly. Oh fuck.
Right.
Everyone was like, are they going to do it? Or is Ducky going to kill them again?
Well, I mean, the vote already stated that apparently you were gonna kill me, so.
I mean, the poll was really not trusting my abilities.
Yeet, jump, grab.
Okay. Nice.
Be careful on the grab. It's a very scary grab.
I did it.
There's
It's
a
not
lot
the
of climbing
grab that scares
afterwards.
me. It's the after the grab. Oh, nice, 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 nice.
Yeah. Alright, they're right above us. If I need to, I can drop some rope for
he
you.
behaved. I promise
Holy.
he behaved. He even saved my life. At least...
I don't know if behaving is the right word for that. Oh no! Go back down. Go back down. Don't fall. Go back down. Go back down.
No way.
I'll throw down some rope for you.
Look. Oh no.
Look, I got you. You tell me when the rope reaches you.
I have the you know, the
Right
thing. This. Oh, nice.
No, wait, hold on, look.
Okay.
No.
A little bit more.
Alright. Yeah.
Thank you.
And they should be right here. Right? Where are they? Oh, they're above us.
Do
Lose
you
my
need
mind.
to eat?
They're right there.
Can we like share the plane food?
No, but here, so you eat. You feed me the plain food, I'll feed you this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, jeez. Oh no. Get up here quick.
I went down.
Oh. Are you safe?
Don't worry, Sweeney. He's been really nice. I've been
safe.
as chaotic as always. Although me, I've been chaotic. Chaotic? I'm safe. Don't worry.
We're good.
Ooh, a tree. I'm a tree climber now.
You're gonna be able to.
Bam. What is this?
Capybara, play the music. No, don't eat the green. Don't eat the green. Green's bad.
Oh. I don't think it's the trumpet.
That's not. No, I don't think that's a trumpet.
Oh.
Yeah, we need to save that. We need to save that.
Okay.
Okay, here are the capybara. I can carry it for you if you need me to.
No, I can just do this.
You don't want green.
Yeah, I don't want the green.
Yeah, I'll say you don't want green.
Okay, I'm playing for
Well, if you want a head paddle.
Nice. Nice capybara. Nice capybara. Oh, it's
Very
a baby!
Very nice.
It's a baby! He's so cute!
And they're in a hot spring so they don't get cold.
I love capybaras, they're so cute. Look, you can even climb on them.
Yeah, if only you could ride them.
Oh, that was a heaven. Oh, fuck.
Get in the water, get in the water!
We're chilling with our capybaras.
Yeah.
I love how it's affecting us and directly not affecting us anymore. Ooh, I think the wind is blowing me away.
Yeah, it will blow you. The wind will blow you. You gotta be careful.
The wind will what?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not repeating it. Nope, not repeating it. Not repeating it. I'm good.
Up. Oh,
this is getting dangerous.
Don't worry.
Make sure you jump.
I'm not in danger. I'm the danger. Bam.
It works.
I'm DuuckyV2. Thank you.
Of course.
I love the fact that there's echo in the... Oh, no.
In the cave.
Stay here.
Whoa, storm!
Stay here.
Yes.
Use my body as a shield. I'll stop it.
We have plenty of food left. Plenty of food.
Down.
Friends as friends. It gives you a lot of morale, but there's an achievement for cooking it and eating it.
There's a lot of cooking in this game.
Oh yeah. I do indeed say friends as you have text, uh-oh. That's a lot of climbing.
Yeah, don't worry.
Look at me.
Thank you!
Ugh.
I think this is super cute how you say it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not shit. I'm the shit.
Yes, this is because one day someone said that they were shit, and I was like, nah, you're not shit, you're the shit. And since it's coming back, I wanted to be inspirational, you know? I wanted to motivate the troops.
Right. No, that works. That's a good morale boost right there.
I think Speedy likes it.
So, the blue flower is very pretty, but very bad.
What is this? Can I eat it? Oh no, you said it's bad. Can I still eat it?
It's very bad. I haven't tried. It makes you really cold.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Nope, not making that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. I have this.
Yeah, you could use that if you want to shoot like right heel.
Up. Okay, here, or maybe a little like here.
Yeah, either way. Either way, it should be fine. That's right. I forgot we had that. And it just keeps going.
It's so cool. I like the color too. It goes with the.
Whoa!
How did you do this?
I don't know. I jumped and grabbed onto it. It just slid me all the way to the top. Although I'm not gonna make it. I'm not making it.
Okay.
I'm alive.
Oh. Okay. How are you gonna do this? Listen. I've used that twice, Penny. I'm not the best, but I try.
I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna climb up to the top, and I'm gonna drop a rope so you can grab from this rope to that rope. Oh, I didn't slide that time. I liked it better when I slid.
Me too. It was so funny to watch. I just saw you, like, scream.
Come on.
Oh my god.
Come on.
Please.
I got it. I'm up there. Alright, hold on. No, just stay on the rope. Stay on the rope.
Come. Oh no.
I'm gonna drop you an item.
Wait. I'll come back. It's because I thought like. You know, Spinny. One day you'll understand how motivational I can eat. Oh, I don't have any food. I don't have
Do you
food.
see the rope coming down?
Not yet. Yes, I am seeing it. Yes, I see it. It's in my face. Nice.
It's in my face.
I got it with my mouth. Thank you.
Nom.
There is a.
Alright, so you need food? Yeah, here. Have some food.
Nom.
Like I said, we got food. Now, where are we going from here is the question. I don't know.
Oh, there's a baggage there. Okay. You trust?
That's a really forward.
You trust me? Do you think we can make this? Nah. I don't think.
Maybe. It's a
I love you
climb.
too.
I think we might be able to go. We could go around and come down.
Okay, I'm following you.
Maybe. I'll say there's not much to climb around on. This is a dead end.
This is a dead end.
We did all this. We did this for nothing.
No. Come. I'll help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm doing this for us. I'm going.
Oh, wait, hold on. I know how to get over there.
How?
I got that. Let me see your backpack.
Okay.
Yeah. Here we go.
No! I got attached to it.
Okay, here.
No, you can use it. I think
I was like, maybe we can use this to shoot across.
Yeah, we can. Okay, but this time, no breaking the game. No.
No breaking the game this time. I think that's a good. Is that a good lineup? That might be a good lineup. Up. Okay, launch me, I guess, because I'm already in.
Okay.
This wasn't the plan.
I'm lighting stuff.
Let's hope I make it. I'm in danger.
You didn't have.
So that didn't go as planned.
Where are you at? Oh, you're here.
Yeah, I made it. Climb back up. I don't know what happened, but I hit my head. Let's try that one more time. Maybe I didn't aim it high enough.
Oh, sorry. That's so funny.
No! Oh, I'm really far away from the wall. Uh-oh.
Oh no! Do you need
It'll
help?
take me a minute, but I'll get back out there.
Okay.
I don't think the game is a good
Oh my
idea.
god! Oh my god!
I may not make it back up though.
I don't think it's a good idea either. Oh my god!
I'm not part of the plan.
Wait, I can do this.
Yeah, I'm not making it back up,
I just remember we have the trumpet of friendship. I could have helped you like cross the thing with it, no?
We totally should have used the beautiful friendship, yeah. Someone else has to use the beautiful friendship to help you. I'll get back up here anytime soon.
Yeah, but
You might
oh
be able
yeah.
to just use the lollipop and climb across.
You want me to help you? You want me to come down and help you? Yeah.
You're gonna have to go without me. I can't climb.
Oh no! Do you want me to come? I have the green thing to heal. Oh. I mean, we're near the end, I think, because I see a lot of. I'm coming. Where you at? Where you at, Vancy? I'm coming.
I'm all the way at the bottom.
Oh. Oh my god.
Yeah, I fell a long ways and I just lost the berry because I got knocked out.
I don't see you.
I'm under the green tree.
Oh.
You're right above me.
Okay. Do you want me to
But
throw the
you
thing
can't
at
land
you?
on the tree.
Oh.
You can try. I can't see you though.
Okay. Don't worry. As you said, we're not leaving anyone behind. I'm here. Oh fuck.
Yeah, well now you're holding. Oh man.
Is it better?
God, that heals a lot. That's a lot better. I'm still at half HP, but that's a lot better.
Do you want more? I have more.
You might need some for yourself.
No, don't worry. Are you okay? No?
I lost the berry. Oh, it's right there. Hold on, I'll grab a berry. Okay. Back on track.
Okay.
We at least got the capybara.
We got the capybara. But we can do this. I believe in us because when we were up, like when we went up there, I could see like something that looked like the end. Like I could see a path.
Oh yeah, the smoke?
Yes. So we can do this.
Well,
I could not abandon you.
Where is the capybara? Because that's all pathway.
Oh, true. I forgot.
Oh wait, there's a suitcase right there.
Oh,
If you want it real quick.
I'm done.
Maybe it has more healing supplies.
Oh, bandages. You need them?
Here, use them on me. Use them on me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it will give you an achievement if you heal enough on someone else.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want this?
If you heal enough. Uh-oh.
Like this.
Oh, don't drink it. Don't let me drink it. Storm.
You don't want this? Because I don't have the space.
No.
Okay. I'm drinking. Oh no, I'm stupid.
Oh,
I removed.
did you drink? It makes you really fast, but then you get really tired.
I want to breathe fire.
Okay, I could carry it.
I drank it. I forgot what it.
Alright, well,
I mean,
maybe
I think
do you want to go this way?
There's a rope. Remember?
Yeah.
So
I threw that rope up though, yeah, but I don't. There's not a climbing path up there though.
I think there is.
Oh, here we go. We go this way.
Way up.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is gonna be.
We're back.
This is gonna be a challenge. All right, so these rocks are not good.
Oh, do they boom?
They'll make you cold.
Oh, they.
No, they don't boom boom. This boom booms.
Oh no. Oh no. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a couple items inside this cave that are very special.
I'm sure
I don't
the
see.
chat.
Oh, there's one.
The chat was thriving. They were like, yes, they're going to die.
Oh yeah.
But we're going to. Oh, what is
Yeah.
this?
So
Is it?
that's a pitten. It has very limited time for what you can hold on to. So you hold on to it for a brief time, and then you keep climbing. It's very.
Wait, like, did
very
you
hard item to
or
use.
was it on the game? Like already here on the.
It's on the game. It's already on the game.
So
These are they're a little old.
nice.
Oh well.
Which one there were?
Well,
There's more there.
I don't know another climate zone. Yeah, I'd say you can usually climb the pittons all the way to the top, but the issue is I don't see the next one.
There is one.
And I don't have the stamina.
Yeah, there's. Yeah, it's really far away. Wait. Where am I going?
Is there one above us?
Yeah, there is one, but I.
Is there one up here?
Sorry.
No, I don't see one up here. Okay. Ah! I'm okay.
Maybe we should go back to where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe. You might have. Uh-oh.
I don't see anything.
Okay.
It's too dark.
Yeah, it's really dark in here.
Oh.
Oh! I heard that. You okay?
Yes. I couldn't see anything, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we might be able to climb this one, but...
Where are we going?
I don't know.
Are we lost?
I'm lost.
Oh no.
Well, I found an exit.
Oh, wait. Do you think we can make this?
I don't think so. That's a really big jump and a really long climb. It will give you more morale and it will feed you, but there's an achievement for toast. If you want to eat it, you can eat it. I have the other one.
No. Achievements. I mean, if we're making it out alive.
Yeah, so we got to make it out to get the achievements. So.
Did you see my jump?
We're running out of food too. That was an epic jump.
Thank you. I gave it my all.
Well, this is. Well, I guess we're going down.
I think we should.
Well, there was the rope. There's the other rope.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get past that.
We're so close, yet so far. How do we go back there?
We have to go down.
Here. It was here. Okay, follow me. Lance?
Where'd you go? I came down.
How did you come down?
I climbed down.
Ah! Don't worry. I jumped down.
That works. I'm gonna try this. See if we can get to that rope. This is dangerous.
That is.
Oh, I didn't make it! I was trying to grab onto the ledge. It didn't work.
Wait. Look. Where's the... Oh, it's there.
You climbed to the top of the tree, huh? Yeah, it's going. Oh.
You might think I'm a monkey because I climb super well, but I'm in fact a duck. A climber duck. Well, I'm more of a cat now.
I mean...
One day I'll be a duck when the console wants to upgrade me as a duck. So
I made it!
Sound.
I made it! Get up to the very top and then sprint jump. Yeah!
Yeah, boy!
So now we can...
Yeah,
should be able to climb this rope and get up to the top. Maybe. I hope. I don't know. This is tight. I don't like it. This may not end well for me.
Me neither.
Nope.
Okay.
No. I refuse. Oh, I'm on a ledge. I'm on a very tiny ledge. Let you.
That's not nice, Mitsuri. I'm not a dummy. I'm a really intelligent cat girl. That is not really...
Alright, if you can climb up...
Do I take the lollipop? Should I take the lollipop?
How much stamina do you have? I got you.
I don't have
Climb.
a lot.
Lunge.
Nice. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Come back. Ah!
I didn't take any damage.
Well, that's good.
I have
So
to take the
while I'm
lollipop.
standing, there's a little ledge that you can climb on.
I think I'll have to take the lollipop.
So get to the top of the tree, then take the lollipop.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing it. How are you doing, Mitsuri? You just came in? Or have you been lurking?
I'm on a very tiny ledge on the wall that I'm just walking backwards on to stay up. Uh-oh. That might have.
I don't remember which branch I took.
The one at the very top on the left.
I think I'm hungry more than anything.
Yeah, you're gonna need to eat food. You don't have food. Eat your yellow berry.
My yellow what?
The yellow berry.
But we have to cook it.
I'll cook it for you. Don't worry. I have one.
Are you sure?
So I can cook one and you can eat it. Yeah, because I already have the achievement.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. I don't think I would have survived more than 5 minutes without it. Oh, wait. I need to be patient. I think to be patient.
You would have been done a lot faster. Alright, wait for your stamina. Now, before you grab the rope, make sure you eat that lollipop.
I'm here.
Lunge.
Thank you.
There you go. Alright, just keep walking right here. Hold on, don't move to the side. Just keep walking here. So we can get your stamina all the way back up. And then you want to climb up. Yeah. And now we're back where we started. Yay. So if you sprint, jump. No, cannon's no!
Are you okay?
I didn't throw it right. I didn't set the cannon right. I missed the rope.
Oh no.
I didn't walk.
Okay.
I'm coming.
I like boom.
Yeah, cannon's bad.
Okay, so
I should have. If I angled the cannon better.
Listen, we have to think of a plan. So what do we do? Nice.
I'm gonna bugle you across.
Okay.
Or you can lollipop across. I think like the bugle be better.
No. I think you should keep the lollipop because I won't use it right the thing. Okay, I'll tell you when to use it, right?
So stop. Yeah, tell me when you get really low on stamina.
Okay.
I can't get any closer, so you gotta find a stopping point for yourself soon.
I did it!
Yeah! Open the suitcase, see? Uh-oh, I'm stuck in the cannon.
I have a sports drink. Like this. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I don't... Wait, I need to hide.
It's okay. Oh, are you getting cold up there?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Storm pass. I'm gonna take the lollipop to climb up there.
Okay. I'm staying near the thing to help you in case, okay? I'm making music for you. My hands are broken though. Okay, nice.
Woohoo! Just in time. I'm about to pass out. I'm gonna stand right here just in case I pass out.
You're rich, Spinny. You're rich as freak. I'm proud of you, Spinny. You're a good mod and a good
6K duck walls. Oh.
Rich duckling. Yeah, Spinny's rich.
Very rich.
There's a hole. There's a hole.
That's a big hole. Holy cow. Yeah, let's not do that. But that's a magic bean right there.
Oh. What is this? Can I eat it? I can't. What do I do?
No, you can't. You can throw it though.
Should I wait a little before throwing it?
No. Once you throw it, well, if you drop it, it does the same thing. That's what we've been looking for. That will keep you warm in the cold. Nice. I'm gonna eat these if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind. Eat, my child, eat. Feast upon the trail mix.
Let me put this back on heel so I can grab that fungi. Alright, so with this, you have to grab it, get your stamina back just enough, and then keep climbing.
Okay. I'm grabbing it.
Because the ice will crack. Yeah, the ice cracks underneath it. And what we want is this item right here.
Once again, our thickness is getting in the way. Oh, there's
Okay.
this. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I still remember when I threw it perfectly. It was so beautiful. I'm remembering
going
stuff
to
as if I
do-
was an old lady. It's so pretty. Okay, go first. If you fall, I'll catch
Hopefully.
you.
Okay, I made it. Alright, so we need to grab that one, right? And then go to the left,
Since
I think.
I have more
Because the ice rocks are
stamina.
bad.
I think I have more.
Yeah,
right?
you go first. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Go first.
you have a lot more. You go first.
Okay, let me like put this. Give me the rope, and if you can climb it, I can give you the rope. Oh, nice. Thank you. Wish me luck.
I got you. I got faith in you. Oh, there's lunch.
Oh, there.
Okay, that works. That works. Okay, well that makes it easy.
Oh, that makes it really easy. Okay. I fucked up. I didn't. Give me your hand.
We made it.
Yes.
We're at the peak.
Oh, we're so.
Oh, no, we're not yet. We're not quite yet. Careful with that flower. It's a very pretty flower, but it's a very cold
So
flower.
pretty.
It's like the explosive things.
No,
From the last one.
no. The explosive things look like you know the clickers in The Last of Us. It looks like their face on the ground.
Yes. Kinda does. Yes, it does. You're not incorrect on that.
Oh, we can walk.
Uh-oh. Well, we can kind of walk.
So the girls will come, Spinny. You will raise them up.
Wisdom? Oh, yeah.
You have look. You have to dance like us. You have to dance like us. You know how
That's how you
male
riz.
bird
This
riz
is the
up
good
female
riz.
birds? Yeah, exactly. Look at him. He's a rizzler.
That's exactly how they do it. No, Rizzle. That's crazy. Almost there.
If I mute myself
Almost
sometimes
there.
on the game, it's my mom
Oh.
yelling, but not at me this time, at my little brother.
Oh.
But he'll calm down because the
Yeah, she can
first
get mad at
episode-
you,
Yeah. He can get it. I'm happy if it's not me. Oh, where am I going? But like the first of September, I'm moving out alone because I'm moving far away for like school. So
Oh,
I'll
wow.
be alone and I'll be able
Post-grad?
to scream. Bam! Nobody can stop me. And yeah.
I don't
the
know about all the
neighbors-
screaming.
Yeah, the neighbors.
Yeah, I said the neighbors might get
It's
a little
okay.
angry.
I live like in the cheap. Well, it's not cheap. It's like supposed to be cheap. Since I'm living like in a really popular place in France. Well, I will be leaving. They make the rent really high, and the cheapest that I get is like with
Gotcha.
crackheads. And it's,
Well, if it works.
yeah. they'll be like, oh, she's one of us. She screams a lot, so it's okay.
She screams. Fitting, in the time frame too.
Oh, we did it, folks.
We made it. We made it. Look at that.
If
What's
they
the
call
item
the
this- oh,
police
wait, we
on
gotta do
you,
the dance, right?
Just tell them that you're from the FBI. Oh yeah, the dance.
The-
Don't
We
worry,
gotta do
don't
the
worry.
dance.
The dance. Okay. Ooh,
Ooh.
what is this?
Pandora's lunchbox. It's a unique item. We'll go with that.
Okay. What do you do?
It will feel your hunger, but it can also give you bad things too.
Oh.
Oh, there's another scroll to read.
It's normal. I think it's because my Wi-Fi is not the best right now, Spinny. So, sadly, you will have like some. Ooh, what is this? Gather round the fire. Nah, I'ma burn you.
You
Oh,
also
I
have
have
the
to burn
suitcase.
the berry. Up. Hehehe. Ooh,
Yeah, here you go.
what is it called there?
Here you go. Eat this berry. The
Okay.
caldera is actually
Uh-huh.
not what this should be called.
Thank you.
But the caldera is a really big, hot area. Yeah.
Oh.
And then don't forget to open up this too.
Yeah, go for it. Look, wait.
So we no longer need the heat pack.
Oh.
Ooh,
Yeah. If we're
scout
going
thing.
to a hit place.
Yeah, let me cook these real quick. Oh, you're gonna use that on me?
Did it work?
Yes, it did.
Oh, nice.
The sides of my screen are very warm now. No, I won't one.
Huh. Are you reading? You're
you don't
reading?
have
How many calories are in those cookies? Huh.
Well, they're all called thick mints, so they're kind of hefty.
Oh,
We'll
if
just-
you
we'll
want,
just
I
put them
have
in my
space.
backpack
Like,
for now.
I don't have a lot of stuff.
Oh, you have space?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can carry the food.
Look. Ah, this seal.
Oh, you still have the magic bean.
Yes.
See if you can hold on to that until we get past the caldera.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
Oh.
It'll be real fun.
Oh, I could zoom in. Ooh,
Yeah,
it's
that's what you're
floaty.
supposed to do with it. You
Ooh,
gotta
it's
zoom in.
floaty. Look, I'm magic.
How did you do that? She's a witch!
I'm a witch. Look at the hat. Look at the hat.
Yeah, that's fail. Fail. Very fail. Alright, you ready? We're almost done. We have 2 more to go.
2 more? What?
We have this and then what's behind it. You see the volcano?
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh
The fun begins.
my god. Are you sure it's fun?
Well, luckily, this is actually one of the easier sections to do in the game.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
You gotta make sure you grab onto the walls when you come down. Here. Eat this.
Can I eat this?
Eat that.
Okay. What the? Uh-oh.
If it gave you bad stuff, eat it again.
Oh, I'm cold. I'm cold.
That's good. That's good. You want to be cold.
Oh.
I was saying this is the hot area. You want to be cold.
Okay. I might have.
'Cause those,
buffed up a little bit because I ate it like another time, and got some
That's
of
fine.
my cold. Well, no, actually, I think it was a good thing because there was a lot of heat, but I was still cold.
Ah, yeah. It's supposed to negate each other. So there's one suitcase here that we're gonna go check out.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said,
I don't want to get concussed again. Thank you. Oh no, thank you.
those the pound. I'll figure out my words eventually. Don't worry. Yep, exactly. Pandora's lunchbox. There we go. I figured out the words I was.
Oh.
That's a good item to have.
I'm the sheriff in town.
So Pandora's lunchbox can do anything. Oh, I hear Pedro. Oh, seems like your chat is kind of quiet too. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Pedro.
Most of my people are locals.
Pedro. Scream?
Yeah.
Scream? What does the scream
Oh
mean?
no! We gotta move! We gotta move! We gotta move!
We gotta move.
Move!
We gotta move. Move. I did it.
The screams in my ear, like it just did.
Yeah, I hear
It's
this.
very loud for you guys. It's not as loud for you guys as it is for me. Grab the chain.
Oh my god. This is so stressful.
So the caldera is not. Well, it's not bad because you don't have to worry about stuff. Here, I'll hold on to that one. That way you don't get too heavy.
What I do?
I got it. That way you don't get too heavy.
Okay.
You have the chain launcher, so you don't need this one too.
Ooh.
But yeah, so the screen. Well, I'll be your chat on both streams. Don't worry. Thank you, Spence. So Red Rock is bad. Red Rock is bad. Red Rock is bad.
Red Rock is bad. Okay.
When the lava goes down, the rocks aren't as red, but when the lava goes up, the rocks become red.
Okay. I didn't even see, like, I struggled to see the reddish tones, you know?
Yeah, it glows. It glows a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
I love how they
so
look
with
when
those-
they're like this. Wait, it looked like this one scene in Jurassic Park. Calm down.
Right. So we're gonna go this way because there's one, a suitcase for you,
Bam!
and 2, there's a nest of eggs that we need to cook the egg for you too.
We're getting an omelette. Red,
Hot.
hot.
Alright, wait for the suitcase, because the lava's too high. You can jump on top, but don't jump in the suitcase. It's spiny. Oh, my bad, spiny. My bad. Spinny. I can't read.
Spinny. It's spinny. Look.
Spin.
He does like this.
My bad.
He does like this. He spins around.
He spins.
Yes.
He spins. Okay.
Yes.
It's all chat on 2 streams on 1 phone. That's also valid. You don't have to come and chat in my stream. Don't worry. Most of my people like to lurk, so they just like to see what chaos I ensue. So you can open that now. Another one.
I have another one.
I have space in the backpack.
Do we need the
Do you have space to carry it?
then? Do we still?
We don't need the trumpet anymore, so you can throw that one away.
Okay,
Unless you want to take it to the end.
I need a moment. Okay.
It's a big,
you have
big
been
07.
my closest friend. You have been my motivation. Here's the last song. Bye-bye. You were loved. Oh, okay, it didn't work.
You were so young. No, it went in the lava.
Yeah, because I had to push it with my
Okay.
feet.
Oh, okay.
How do we do this?
Now we're kind of stuck here.
We need this?
Not yet. We want to save that for the very end.
Because
It's gonna start getting heavy. Alright, let's...
Am I getting a kiss from Sweeney? Nice. Yeah. I'm bagging the moves.
So this is where it gets chaotic.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It was not a mosquito, it was my trumpet that I had to let go of. Thank you. Sadly. I'm not out of chains.
You could have kept the trumpet.
Yeah, but you know.
Oh jeez.
We have to not be
Climb
too
to the very
heavy.
top. Well, the trumpet doesn't weigh anything.
Oh no. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna go there.
Climb the knees. Climb the knees.
No.
Oh wait, I could just grab the egg for you. What am I doing? I got the thing. I'll just grab the egg.
You got this?
Yeah, I got the egg.
Okay.
You in a safe spot? Okay, I'm coming to you. You ready? Alright,
To you.
take one of the eggs
Okay. What I do?
and throw it right here.
Where?
Make sure you throw it. Right here. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
A little throw, not a big throw. Alright. Now we pick it up and we drop it and back up just a little bit. Hold up.
Wait.
Oh, well, the lava's going back down. Alright, now we gotta hold on to it for a second.
Okay.
Tell you what.
What?
I'm gonna do this.
You have a
We're gonna keep moving forward. It looks kind of weird, doesn't it?
Yes, but he's cute. Do we have to climb? I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
here.
Oh, get off that rock quick. Oh, you already. Oh. Phew. Yeah, the rock behind us just caught on fire.
Because you could jump from the other rock to this one.
Alright, so the end is right over there with that big old... Yeah, you don't want to step in the fire. Fire's no good.
Oh.
So I'm going this way.
Yeah, me too. Oh, thank you.
This is what we're here for.
Hope you enjoy the ads. Mahaha, you're making me rich.
Oh, the ads.
The ads.
Go away, lava.
But
Be
I
gone.
listened to you. Like first, I tried to like get rid of the ads, but it would like put the automatically like the starting ads.
Yeah,
So I
the
just
pre-roll. I don't like pre-roll.
Exactly. Me too.
I don't like pre-roll. Pre-roll is bad. Where'd you go? Oh, you're way down there.
Vance.
Climb!
I can't, Vance.
Drink the cure.
I'm sorry, Vance.
Ducky!
I'm sorry, Vance.
Ducky! Stay right there.
Oh no! The bean! The holy bean!
Don't worry, Ducky, I got you.
I'm sorry.
Your backpack's a little cooked, but it's okay.
Oh my god, thank you.
Come back, Ducky.
Oh.
Climb.
I can't. I'm sorry about this.
Grab your backpack. It's right back. Yeah, that's so that green thing is the magic bean, by the way.
It's so pretty. Oh no.
It is. You're good. You're good. You're good. We got you. We got you.
Look, it's burning. How beautiful.
Yeah, it's a little singed though. All right.
We lost the chains.
The chain. Oh no, it's okay. It's okay.
Can we get them back, or is it too?
No, it's too late. It's already cooked. It's not moving. It's not moving. Okay. Good call. Good call on the jump though. Keep climbing. I didn't think we'd make that jump. You made the jump perfectly.
Panic talk to me. I'm really sorry, Vance.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault. Things happen. I gotta get you to the end. That is my objective. Oh, lava's coming up. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Oh, grab the egg out of my backpack again.
Okay. This one?
Oh, I just got hit.
The wrong one. I got the wrong one.
Well, that's what, either one's okay.
Oh, no.
You're gonna put it right there. Just drop it right there. And you're gonna see it start smoking. When it changes color, you want to grab it. Well, okay. I'll grab it when it changes color. Here you go. Here, eat that.
Thank you.
And now we're gonna have to start jumping. The floor's hot. Jump. Oh, we're in a bad spot. We gotta go.
We gotta go.
I'm not gonna make it. I'm dead. Go without me.
Oh my god. Vance.
Wait for your heat to go away. The heat will go away over time.
Oh fuck.
Climb up onto a very high rock and wait for the heat to dissipate. You got this. And you got the food. So if you need to eat food, you can eat food. I'm still here with you, in spirit.
You're a
in
ghost.
Spirit, I'm still here with you. I'm a ghost labubu.
Oh fuck.
Alright, you got it. Yeah. Run and climb now. Go to your right. There you go. Climb up to the top of that rock and wait for your heat to go away. You got it. No more hot. You're high enough. Alright, you see that big thing in front of you?
Yeah, this?
That's the end. That's the end right there. So wait for all the heat to go away, then keep going. You got this.
Okay. I got this.
My death was not in vain. The heat will go away. Just give it time. You got it.
So, should I go like there, and there?
I can't see your pings anymore because I'm a ghost.
Oh.
But yes.
Okay.
General idea. You got the right thing.
There's a chain.
You don't need the chain. You can just jump across.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, instead of going to the left at the end there, you might want to go to the right at the end.
Where?
So jump, wait for the lava, stay on the top of that rock, because the lava's rising. So go straight ahead, and then take the chain to the right, and then keep going that way. Get to the right side.
Am I clicked here?
Got it. No, it's not red, you're good. Well, the lava is still rising, so you may not be good.
Vance is the MVP.
I got you, Chief. I got you. Well, I don't think the goat's showing right now. It's just ahead.
I can see.
Yeah, I would say wait for the lava to go down.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm right here. Woo! I can disappear.
I'm working on you.
Wow!
Wow.
Wow!
I can.
Alright, go. You got it.
I'm cooking. I always wanted to visit Texas, you know. So.
Well, this is pretty close. Climb that rock.
Oh my god.
You almost got it. Get to the top of that rock.
Yep.
And then wait for your heat to go down, and you're right there at the end. See, look, you got it. Easy. You got it.
I got it. Thank you, Vance. You're done.
See, and what is that? Tosaku kid? Did I say that right? He's got like, did you grab some sunscreen so you don't become a lobster?
I don't
Speaking
have
from
love
experience.
screen.
Yeah,
love screen. What did it say? Sunscreen?
Lop screen. Yes, I don't have lop screen. Oh, the lava is going down.
Okay.
You got it. Go ahead and drop.
Cool.
Get on top of that rock, wait for your stamina, and then just start climbing. You got it. You made it to the end. Look at you.
You do
MVP.
I'll go you talk to
The
them.
skinny duck.
Okay. Okay. I'm doing this for you
Taku.
once.
It's better.
I'm
I
doing this
believe
for
in
you,
you.
spirit.
I have faith. For my spirit.
Yeah.
The fun part is I can slowly come out of the walls. Yeah, it technically happened. Woo! Woo! Woo!
What the? That is so cool. You just vroom from the ground.
I just kind of pop out of the wall.
Oh, okay. No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. I'm breaking the limits.
Well,
No ducks.
Spinny, you are correct. No duck has ever climbed a mountain before. Wait a second.
So many cases.
Yep, and they're all yours.
Ah.
Hey, look, another cannon. We don't need that.
Oh,
But you might want to use that first aid kit.
How do I? Can I res?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
So
another one.
the thing in the middle gives you the res ability.
Oh. Do we use it now?
But because no one... Yeah, if you want to, it'll bring me to life.
Okay. Are you here?
I'm alive. I'm good. I'm good.
I did it, Chad. I did it. Do we want a heat pad?
No, we don't need that anymore.
Nice. I don't know if I'm doing the dumb stuff. I'm using everything.
That's fine. So yeah, there you have it. You look at that, you just beat the cow tail. Only one more to go. Crown and head pats at the same time?
Yes,
Crazy.
thank you so much. I feel I
that'll
feel
be useful.
respected. How do you use it? Do you want me to leave it?
When you're if you want to,
have
you
a
can.
backpack.
It's up to you.
Oh, you're naked.
No, I don't have a
Watch
back.
this, chat.
Yeah.
Watch this. You think of... Did we finish here?
Yeah, we're done. So now we keep going.
Okay.
But we're missing something. There's no campfire.
Yeah.
The heat pad when you're in Satan's ass, do you want to kill someone? Yeah, exactly what Taku said.
Wait.
Exactly.
Wait. I forgot something. Where are they? Where are
You're about
they?
to take another cannon.
No. I just need something. Where are the heat pads? Where are they?
Oh, I already threw them.
Oh, no. I wanted to use them on you! To cook you!
Again?
No, maybe.
To cook me?
I'm Super Saiyan!
Super Saiyan duck.
Yes. Oh, we can just walk? I'm kind of hungry.
I deserve some head.
And
I haven't got my head pat redeemed to walk properly.
Oh, I can help you with this. It's annoying.
The duck, the Dean. Everybody else uses mix it up for it to walk, and I see that it walks well, but I don't use mix it up. I've been trying something else.
What? Yeah, I use mix it up. you got me. You got me. Listen, Tuku. I'm just a hungry girl that sometimes wants to eat her friends. It happens. I usually eat children, allegedly.
I mean,
allegedly.
Allegedly.
For the hot buns again.
I mean, just look at the Labubu face. The Labubu says it all.
I'm hiding my face. You can't say them. You can't tell them I have a Labubu face. The campfire! The campfire is here!
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
There it is indeed.
But you know, I already ate Vance earlier, but he was a little bit not as like I really like my chicken cooked, you know, when the skin is crusty, like not crunchy, not crusty. Fuck.
Crusty, crispy.
Yeah, crispy. So you know, it wasn't as crispy as I liked it. So now I have to cook him a little bit more. For no reason.
Right, that's how
Why
it's
are
done.
you vibrating?
No reason.
Is it like the low?
Right.
Look.
What? Vibrating?
Yeah, there's
like echoing?
No. Around your face. There's
Oh, am I like shaking on your screen?
You're vibrating.
It's because of the heat of where we're at. Yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah.
Krusty Krab pizza, Krusty Vance pizza.
Oh my lord.
No,
Well, congratulations, we made it.
Yeah, he's vibrating. Oh.
I just go so fast.
Wait for me.
Welcome to the kill.
My laptop is telling me what the fuck, where are you at?
Hot.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Alright, so this is really tricky. You can see the exit already, it's all the way at the top.
Oh my god.
We're in a volcano.
Take my hand. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do this.
We got this.
Yes.
I have to get you out alive no matter what. That's the goal.
Exactly.
You've eaten everything for the achievement, so we gotta get you out of here.
True. And exactly that good. This is too hot in here. Oh, I have the python. I can set it if it's too hard. At one point, I have the python. The python.
The pitten. Yeah, the pitten. Yeah. Yeah, it's a funky word. It's not even English.
Listen. No, Spinny, don't start with the dog with boobies. I didn't realize what I was saying.
A dog with what?
Don't mind this. Where are you? Where are you at?
I'm above you. Because we gotta climb, because we're in a volcano. Volcanoes are not fun. We will get this done.
Yeah, doggo boobies.
We'll make you.
Well, it's not weird. It's not in a weird way. I said doggo boobie. There is a context. I promise. Okay, thank you.
A context for doggo poopy?
Yes,
Booby?
there is. I promise. I was like, dogs are amazing. Boobies are too. What if dogs had big boobies? That's it. And then I realized what I was saying. Okay.
Oh. Hey, go open that.
Okay, even the context doesn't help. I'm realizing, but you know.
No, the context doesn't really help a whole lot, though. I understand what you're getting at, but no. I don't know if a cannon's really good at evil.
I have three.
You have 3 cannons?
Yes.
No wonder you have no stamina. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight.
Look. Where do we need to go? Okay, you know what?
This way.
I'm acting nicely. Look. Down.
I would say you should sacrifice the cannons to the lava to appease the gods.
It's for the god of the lava. He will see a cannon.
The lava god.
Exactly. He will be like so happy with my offering. So maybe we need it here. What if?
Yeah.
Nah. Eek. I'm a mountain goat.
We got this. Bah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be a challenge.
Listen. I've got ears. Of course, I'm a furry. Maybe I should put down the cannons.
I would say if you want to make these big jumps, you're gonna want as much stamina as possible. Yeah. Just don't let the cannon block the jump.
Too late.
Well.
I'm using it as a. See?
That worked. Okay. That was awesome. Jumping from the top of the cannon. That was crazy.
I don't say something like this all the time. I just don't hear myself talking, and then I realize my mouth is faster than my brain.
There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's entertaining that way.
Yeah, and sometimes you just come out with like, oh no, look.
Yo, grab the pin. Yeah.
See? Ooh, the music.
Yeah, it's very
I'm
scary.
glad you love it.
I don't know where to go.
Okay. Jump on my balls. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well then, jump on your. I see.
I'm sorry. I promise. I don't know. It's the heat.
The heat's getting to you. That's what it is.
Okay.
I don't see a really good climbing path. That's what I don't like this.
Oh wait. I have something. Come here. And you go.
Careful
there.
with the hot rocks.
On
The hot rocks.
Oh.
Yeah, we can do that. So we can climb on these rocks, but they're hot.
Don't worry.
kind of like the lava. But if we come out here, we're okay. Oh, we're not okay. So step a little farther out. Step, Okay. Yeah, there you go. It's okay, I'll accept it.
There's so much heat.
Yeah.
What?
Okay. Where to? That way?
This is how you said that, like it's hot, right? When you were in heat.
Yes.
Okay. Because, like...
When you're in heat, you're hot. You're technically not wrong, but being in heat is slightly different.
What does it mean?
Being in heat means you're wanting to make babies.
Oh, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh, fuck. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I knew what you meant.
I'm sorry, English is the
English is a very confusing language.
So,
I will not do.
Being in heat means like you were in a hot place more than. Oh my god.
Right. No, the way you explained it make perfect sense. It's just not exactly correct.
I'm sorry about this. I promise I.
That was adorable. That was awesome.
Oh, but for my defense, English is not my first language, nor my second one. It's
Right, I would say. Holy cow, your third language?
Yes.
I did not make that jump. Okay, that's impressive. Here I am, like I know English mostly, and I know like 5 words in Spanish.
Damn.
That's about all I got.
You know more than.
And I know omelette du fromage.
You know more than most people.
Well, I try. It's not very accurate. Oh, we went the wrong way. We need to go
I'm
that way.
European, so
Dang it.
we're kind of cooked since the birth. We have to learn lots of languages. Oh, I have a python again. Python.
You got-
Python.
A Pitten, yeah.
Yeah. You want to play?
So we could
I
possibly.
don't really know where to put it. Okay. Careful.
I can try.
Careful. Careful.
I'll grab it real
Squirrel.
quick.
Careful. Nice.
Good job. Alright, let's see.
Yeah,
Actually, may not even need it.
You must like maybe. Okay. Okay. If I'm wrong, you talk like Okay. Oh, nice. You talk like German.
Get away from the rock.
if
Get
I'm
away from
not
the rock.
mistaken. And English,
Yeah.
right? Right, Uncle? I don't know. I am assuming. Oh, come here.
That would make you light. Hold up.
Come here.
Hold on. Don't put it on.
Come
No. Oh. I was gonna make your backpack light so you could carry more. Okay, well that works.
No. I told you if I get the balloon, it's on you instantly.
It's on immediately on me. I mean, it works.
Shame on me. Shame on me. Shame on me, on my family, and
What?
my ancestors.
For what? What'd you do?
Because I guessed wrong. I was like, okay, Toku, you talk German.
Oh. I know a little bit of German, not fluent. I speak English and Romanian. Holy cow.
Damn, that's
Are you
amazing.
from Romania?
You're Dracula! Someone come in my chat and ask me if I was Romanian and if I was Dracula. Because he was Dracula too.
Oh, there was a lot of Draculas apparently.
I'm collecting all the Romanians. I'm so happy.
Hey, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
It works. Yeet.
Oh, nice. Oh, there's... No.
Yeah, I would say there's 2. I mean, we might be able to get them. That's
I'm one here.
And there's one up there.
I'm one here. And one here. And one here. 4.
I'm just.
I can do this.
I don't know
There's
where
4.
the climate is.
There's 4.
There's 4. Wait, where's the 4? Oh, the one way up there. Okay, I see.
What, do you suck?
I see now. What? Oh yeah, we can get these 2 easy. These 2 are easy.
I know what suck means though. I didn't realize about heat, but I know suck.
They suck.
I'm hungry. Oh, how good.
Yeah, you can eat the food.
Yep. Oh no.
You gotta be part mountain goat.
Oh my god.
Climb to me.
Thank you. Oh,
Alright, go ahead,
open.
please. It's all you. Oh, that smacked me in the head.
There's this.
Hey, we can totally use that.
Oh. Oh. I have this. Where you at?
We can also use that. Here,
Nice. They love giving me weapon.
They gave you all the weapons.
Yeah, give me bread.
I'll
give
take
me
this
bread.
just in case.
I'm sad that they.
Yeah, go ahead and eat it.
Is it yours?
No, that's yours. Go ahead and eat. I'm gonna eat one of these cookies.
Okay. Put it in my
There we go.
back.
Oh wait.
Afterward.
Yep. There you go. It's on the backpack. It's good.
Okay, perfect.
Alright, now we gotta figure out. Well, I know exactly how to do this. You
Oh,
ready?
you're there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, that's a tight squeeze.
Okay, okay. Hui. Grab me.
Falling.
Oh, I'm falling. Oh, I'm falling. Oh, oh, it's okay, it's okay. I'm waiting for my stamina. And
You're
stamina.
good. I just got my hand out here. I'll just do the whipping nay nay.
Oh, nice, nice. If you change the game right now, I'll have to eat you. I'm sorry, Spinny. This is the rule. Because during collabs, the change game has a little delay. Okay, I can't. Look where we at, Spinny. You can't do that to us. Look at his face. Look at his face. You can't do that to him.
I'm innocent. I'm innocent. What are you talking about? I'm innocent.
Don't look at his mouth. Okay, just don't look at his mouth.
No, yeah.
He's innocent.
Yeah, don't look at that. No. Nonsense.
You want energy?
Ooh, water. No, you need it. You take it.
Exactly. Look at the adorable face. I have a bunch of place.
So adorable.
Okay. Nice.
Alright, well, we got 3. There's only one more left, right?
Oh, you can walk here?
Maybe. Mostly.
Mostly. You have to channel your inner goat. Thank you.
Right, you gotta be called goat.
Oh, you blew
Alright, so
me.
we're going right there, right behind you.
Yeah, look at those baby eyes.
My j-
Look at the shine. The shine in his eyes full of
Ching
hope.
ching. Full of hope.
Full of hope. Oh, I had this. I have the cannon rope if you need. I panicked.
Oh.
I panicked. I'm really sorry.
The rope went the wrong way.
Oh.
See if you can grab the. Hey! Grab the hook!
Ooh.
Are you alive?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the hot pots. I'm sure Vance can feel them. Feel the hot pots, Vance too. Come here.
I feel the head pats.
See.
All the head pats.
I'm more putting my hand in his mouth, but count this as a head pat.
It's close enough. Hey, a bandage.
You better take it. I'm resisting the urge.
bandage?
Can I use the bandage, or do you need it?
Yeah. No, you use it. I don't need it.
No, you better take.
Look,
the
we're almost at the
because
top.
If I take them, it's on you. Nice. I'm a balloon. Yes. It's green. I love green. Ducky loves green. Yeah, no dead ducky.
Right.
I thought I was dead because like I pressed grab on the thing, but since like it, you know, like it unraveled,
You got stuck.
it just slipped.
Yeah, I thought you were following. I guess that's our best spot right there.
I have this. Oh no.
Oh, good call. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Let's use
go.
it.
I'm not used to having good calls, you know. Remember when you?
How high can you aim with it?
I think.
Oh, you've had some really good calls.
Oh, here.
Okay.
Here. I don't know.
As high as you can aim with it, you'll see the little target. No, you use it. You got it.
can't?
If you can aim right there, if you do that. That'll
Do that?
That'll be perfect. Perfect. Now just be careful when you climb on it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry.
You got it.
Because
Look
like,
at this.
you can take a little break here. Look. Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Exhausting. And then bam.
Professional gamer right here.
Yeah. I thought it went away.
Not yet. It does pop after a little bit.
Yeah, true. This is true. Like I used to stream from like 2 a.m. like sometimes 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. I changed.
Oh yeah?
I changed my ways.
You changed your way.
Yeah, I'm a changed duck now. Oh,
A changed duck. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This way. We still have a pin just in case.
Thank you, Speedy. I'm glad I made you smile. Oh no!
I'm okay.
Okay. Do you want the rope? I was gonna. I don't know why. I wanted to
Just
speak
give
French.
me a hand. Just give me a hand.
Okay.
Woo. You can speak French. I'll do my best to figure out what you mean in French.
Okay. Bonjour.
Si, baguette, omelette du fromage.
Omelette au
That's
fromage.
pretty much all I got.
Let's go.
Omelette du fromage. I learned that from a cartoon, actually.
Yeah. I'm a changed woman. I'm not lurking from, like, in the night because I got yelled at by my mom too much.
Oh. Well, yeah, but now that you're moving out, you could.
Yeah, even now, imagine like from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. hearing your daughter. I mean, she wasn't working, so she didn't mind that much. Like, she was in holiday. Oh, fuck. Don't worry. I still
Grab it.
I still have it. But, like, now that she's working, I understand why she... I messed up. I didn't. Yes, I am French. I'm a French duck. Oh, no.
No!
Oh, it's okay. I'm not dead.
Did you grab it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna eat something. Nom.
Do you need a med kit?
Do I have one? No, I have one. Don't worry.
Okay. I'll say make sure you heal up because you want as much stamina as you can. We're really close to the top. This is where it starts getting harder.
Don't worry. Oh. Okay.
I can give you a hand.
French is hard. Even as a French girl, I struggle with French. Don't worry about this. We know there is a hard one with like E, A, U makes the same sound as O and makes the same sound as as A, U, and it makes this like the same sound as E, A, U, X. So don't worry. We know our language.
Huh?
Yeah. It's like O. All the things that I said make
That's crazy.
Yes, it is. And we have silent letters, you know? Like, for example, at the end of some...
yeah.
Even at the end of my name, my real name, there's an E, but you don't pronounce it. And sometimes those silent letters get in the middle of the word.
I can relate to that. There's a couple silent letters in English and in Spanish too. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Oh my god.
I tried to learn German, but when I started high school, I had to switch to French without knowing anything. Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, that is rough. Sorry, I was reading at the same time as a bunch of words.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'd say it was a lot. Oh.
And my brain was like, okay, lock in, Ducky, lock in.
Ah, you good. There's a little lip up here.
Oh no. Oh, thank you.
We're so close, look, we're so close. We can see it.
Okay, I need to count down. We need to count.
Yeah, I was saying we're climbing too fast.
Imagine we fall now. Don't imagine this.
That would be awful.
This.
That'd be awful. I just decided to turn around and jump.
Don't do this.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not jumping.
Don't do this. Do not
We
do
made
it.
it. Look, we're here. You made it.
But I get it. Like when you don't have the basics. I went from learning German. Like I wanted to do some German at one point. From like going from Chinese to German, and I didn't have the basics, and it was awful. But I still had a good grade, so I'm okay. I did it for the grade.
Well, as long as you pass.
Yes, I'm good at languages. Like when I can have like Whoa! Look at the flowers! There's coquicos and stuff! It's beautiful. Lavender. Wow.
Oh, you know your flowers.
It's so pretty. And the blue one don't attack you. The purple one don't.
And the blue one sees.
It's beautiful.
Right, none of these hold. So there's a
look,
secret item that I want to show you.
We come from there.
Yeah.
We come from there.
You did. Actually, if you look down, you can see it's a really long way down. Just be very careful.
Yeah. Come back here. Come back here.
It's so tempting to jump, though.
It is. It's like the call of the void thingy. You just want to jump. Oh, I stopped following you. I'm coming back. I got
you're
lost.
good. You're good. You can keep going.
I began following the flowers.
Well, the whole trick is we're supposed to get to the top. I'm going to grab a special item.
I want to see. Is it? By the way, Tuku, we saw the capybaras. We gave them headpad. I even climbed on one. Just so you know. Where are you at?
You rode a capybara. I'm coming.
Lance? Oh, you're here.
Hi.
Hi.
I have an item to give you.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You ready?
Yes. Wow! It's mine. It's so precious. My precious. Do I eat it? I
Now we
can't
gotta
eat
get to
it.
the top. No, you can't eat that one, sadly. You can cook it, apparently.
It
I don't know what happens when you cook it.
Oh, I don't know either. It looks like a big candy, right? Are we crazy?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're completely accurate on that.
I mean, I've been trying to eat everything. This is why I'm asking you. Wow. Oh.
And here's your favorite item.
My piss flare. Nice.
It's based off the color of your skin. That's what makes it
Yes.
entertaining.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm saying
Oh,
yes.
I hear something.
No, I didn't finish playing with my piss. You wait. Wait. Bounce.
Grab the rope. Grab the rope.
I grab.
Climb.
We make it?
Yay! Look at that. We made it.
Both of us.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Look at that Labubu face.
We're so evil. We didn't take a while you got down to get here. 2 hours, it's not
Right.
bad.
2 hours. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a good climb.
Look
You reached
at
the
my
peak.
little faces. Going up, oh down. Up again.
Well, that's, yeah.
And down.
Yeah.
And up and down. And up again.
And there's a
down.
little dead guy right there.
Yeah,
There's a little dead guy there. I wonder what happened there.
Wow. We did it. I'm so proud of us.
Indeed.
Oh my god. So many. Oh, avenue. So many new crap.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my
You
god.
got you achievements.
Oh my god. So many things. I'm so happy. Thank you so much,
I love
Vance.
it.
Thank you so
Of
much.
course. You did all the carrying. I died. You made it out alive.
Remember? Multiple times, too.
No. You fell asleep. You fell asleep.
But we
I got burnt alive.
Oh my god, so many stuff.
I got incinerated.
Oh my god, I just read
There you go.
a message from Speedy. So basically, I had a French teacher, but she was kind of at first, you know, joked with us and everything until she started acting weird. She didn't come to school for like a month, almost 2. We acted suspicious when she started to hang out with some of the classmates. She started adding people to random Satanist WhatsApp groups. We found out she was a PDF files and a Satanist at the end of the school years. What the fuck? Oh, thank you for the headphones, by the way. Thank you so much. I was shocked at the start. What the fuck? What the
That's crazy.
Huh? Typical French teacher.
Oh. What? Typical. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. I don't know if I'd say that's typical, but
PDF file French teacher? Yeah. You never experienced like.
I mean, I've had a Spanish one that was like that.
It's always either Spanish or French. There's the
That's
there.
right, too.
Oh, oh, I'm eat. Oh, we have the same. We chose the same eyes. Look. Yeah, I think you need pepper spray against this type of teachers.
That's the whole
I've
punishment right
sandals.
there.
Thank you so much, Vance. I would have never gotten all of
Of
those.
course.
Look.
Nah, you got it.
Evil
Look at that.
vacationer.
Hey, you even got the visor. Evil vacation. It's crazy. With the flip flops and everything.
Yeah. I have shoes now. I have shoes. Yep.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my god. Thank you so much.
You gotta love it. No,
Oh,
thank you. It was
I'm
a fun,
missing
cool
one
one. I
mouth.
enjoyed it.
I'm
Only
missing
one?
One. Yes.
Which one?
I don't know. It's like between the smiling and the
Oh,
the
you're missing this one.
What is it?
Yeah, you're missing this one.
The Romanian mouth.
Romanian mouth. It's
Amazing. I mean, that's your vampire. I think it's pretty cool. Have a great flirt. Cuckoo. I'm sorry for
Yeah,
that.
it's a good one.
For not seeing it before. Have a great flirt. I'm a crab. 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 Put the crab mask. The hat. We're crabs now. Anyway. Really. Yeah.
I got a few more hats to get.
Yeah. We're crabs. We're crabs. Crabs.
Well, look at the meal when you walk in here. While you're doing it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Crab.
The Romanian mouth made the cook lurk.
Made me cancel the look so fast.
Ooh, what the? Oh my god. Oh, that was amazing. Oh, thank you.
It was great. I enjoyed
Oh, my
it.
hat changes with my outfit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's actually new. Actually, I didn't know that.
Oh, that is so cool. Wait, I think we should end here.
That's neat.
Looking at us. Look at our beautiful body and face. You look so evil behind me. No, don't touch me there. This is my no square.
My no square.
No, don't touch me there. This is my no square. Ooh,
No.
you're a pumpkin Romanian astronaut. This is
A
beautiful.
Romanian pumpkin astronaut. Oh my lord.
Oh, I'm
Crazy.
glad you love the stream, Spinny. I really am glad. I adored the stream. I adored playing with you once. Really, that was amazing.
It was highly enjoyable. I thank you for bringing me along. We would not have escaped without you, for sure.
Like you. Like you were the one that was
It
like,
was great.
hey, I can play with you, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
Even
of course.
fainted.
Oh,
Oh,
Looks like
I'm
you're
so
having
glad you all enjoyed the
convulsions there.
stream as much as we did. Oh no, I'm reviving you.
That's some CPR right there.
Life.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
Oh my god.
It works. It works.
I'm so happy. Oh damn, it's been 3 hours and 37 minutes.
It's been, yeah, it's almost 4 hour
Damn.
stream right there.
Damn. Thank you so much again.
I will probably, no, thank you. I will have to call it here because I have to go get food and finish things around the house.
Me too. I think I'm almost seeing you again as a chicken. I'm gonna eat you.
It's getting that hungry.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry. I'm seeing my laptop as a chicken.
Okay.
I shouldn't eat my laptop, right?
Oh no, that's not good. Yeah, don't eat. No, that won't be good.
No, I won't.
That won't be good.
But I think we should stop here. We should stop here.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Vance is amazing. He's such an amazing vibe. Yeah. We have to do the fish. The fish. Are you ready, Vance?
Thank you, Speedy. The fish?
Yeah.
Oh,
Fish.
hold on.
Fish.
Yep. Okay, fish.
2, go!
Fish.
Fish.
Flop.
I can see your
Flop.
jumper.
Flop. Flop. Gotta enjoy it.
I never know how to end the stream, so I'll let you talk. You're the narrator.
Well,
okay.
I'm the narrator.
Yeah.
Well, I thank everyone for coming. We'll give a little jig at the end, right?
I'm doing
And then we'll see you on the next time, right?
Yes.
Right?
Please
Right?
come say hi.
Looking at you, Spinny and Taku.
That was amazing.
at you too.
Thank you again. And if you want to ever collab again, I'm here. I'm here to look at,
Oh, of course.
look at my moves.
Of course. You got those moves like Jaguar.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tell.
yeah. Oh, you can't see up my skirt. That's nice.
What? That's good. It's good that they have that in though.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
good.
Well, anyways,
Alright.
thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
For watching. Thank you, Vance, so much. I'm saying you bye-bye, and then bye-bye to Spam. I
Right.
wanna do this. Bye-bye.
Bye
That was a pleasure.
bye.
Easies.
It was great. Mwah.
Oh my god, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing, guys. I'm so happy. Okay, I'm telling you bye-bye at the same time here because I never know how to do this again. But thank you all. Wait. I want to show you. I want to show you. Wait. Oh. Okay, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay. Don't mind the fact that everything is under the desk. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so glad that you like the stream. I don't know why the duck on my head is mad. But anyways, thank you a bunch. See you next time. I'm gonna grab something to eat before I eat my family. I love you a bunch. Once again, I don't know how to thank you all for. I'm so grateful. I'm actually so grateful to have you all here and talking with me. So yeah, I love you all. Have a nice night, a nice morning. Yeah. See you next time. Bye bye. Love you.